Chapter 1346. Chen Ning suddenly remembered the words recorded in the book. The appearance of the thorn mustard grass was very similar to the catmint, so many people would mistake the thorn mustard grass for the catmint. However, the smell of the thorn mustard grass was completely different from the catmint, being much stronger than the catmint. The most important thing was that the smell of the thorn mustard grass mixed with the catmint, greatly increasing the effect of the catmint. She believed that during the palace banquet, Xiaorong Junju would definitely find a chance to sprinkle the bramble mustard grass powder on her body. Then, it would react with the catnip on her clothes. At that time, she believed that the entire palace, and even the cats outside the palace, would be attracted by the strong smell. They would become crazy and lose their rationality, and all of them would rush towards her. At that time, it wouldn't just be a few dozen wild cats, it would be over 100, or even over 1,000. With this many cats charging at her, even Mo Chuan and the palace guards would be caught off guard. They wouldn't be able to defend in time, and perhaps she would be scratched by these crazy cats. Even if she wasn't injured, her clothes would be torn by these cats and her skin would be exposed. As the Empress, if she was disheveled in front of all the ministers and let other men see her body, that would be a great shame. It would make her lose all face and she would never be able to raise her head again. Empress Dowager Zhou could use this as a pretext to abolish her as the Empress. That's right, that's right. This was the Xiaorong princess' true goal, her true killing move. How poisonous. Chen Ning found that she had underestimated the Xiaorong princess. She never thought that not only would the Xiaorong princess spend a large amount of money to buy her head, she would even do anything to achieve her goal. However, since she had already discovered the other side scheme, how could she let Xiaorong princess succeed like this? Young miss, this is simply too terrifying. Quickly take off your clothes, this servant will immediately burn them. This servant will find another set of clothes for you to change into. Xiao Ru anxiously said. Chen Ning confidently shook her head, there's no need to change. Xiaorong spent so much effort to give me such a large gift, if I don't accept it, wouldn't I disappoint her? Xiao Ru, go get some mint leaves, I have a use for them. Xiao Ru went to get the mint leaves and gave them to Chen Ning. Chen Ning dried the mint leaves over the fire. Then she kneaded them into powder and sprinkled it on her clothes. She saw the puzzled look on Xiao Ru's face and explained with a smile, although catnip and peppermint are only separated by a single word, peppermint is the nemesis of catnip. Its taste is very similar to catnip and normal people can't tell them apart, but it can completely cover up the smell of catnip. Ah, that's great. Xiao Ru let out a sigh of relief and a smile appeared on her tight little face. However, first miss, that bad princess has come up with such a vicious plan to harm you. Who knows what other evil plans she will come up with at the palace banquet? How about we don't go and not go? Ning, of course not. If I don't go, I'll miss a wonderful show. Chen Ning slightly raised her brows and revealed a playful look. She looked up at the sky outside and said, it's almost time. Let's go. The palace banquet to celebrate Xiaorong Junju's birthday was arranged to be held in Qingyun Palace Hall and would begin at noon. Chapter 1347. The east side of the royal palace, Cheonghua Park. The scenery here was very good. Looking into the distance, there were rivers and mountains everywhere. There were pavilions and green trees, making this place look like a paradise on earth. The ministers strolled through the Cheonghua Park in twos and threes, giving it endless praise. The Qingan Palace was in the center of the Cheonghua Park. It was transparent on all sides and had floor-to-ceiling windows. Sitting in the middle of the palace, one could see the beautiful scenery around them. It was the most elegant palace in the royal palace. Empress Dowager Zhou had set the Xiaorong princess birthday banquet in the Qingan Palace. One reason was because of the auspicious name and the other was to show how much importance they placed on the Xiaorong princess. How could the ministers that came to the banquet not understand Empress Dowager Zhou's intentions? They were afraid that this birthday banquet would not be a good banquet. Everyone knew this in their hearts. There were some ministers that couldn't help secretly sympathizing with the Empress, but no one could say it. When they saw each other, they were all filled with smiles. After exchanging greetings, they entered the palace and sat down. When Chen Ning brought Xiao Ru to the Qinggan Palace, it was not too early or too late. The Empress has arrived. With a clear announcement from the eunuch, everyone in the palace stood up, welcoming Chen Ning's arrival. Chen Ning's attire today was very appropriate. It wasn't too gaudy, but it wasn't too plain either. It was very dignified, appearing at the entrance of the Qinggan Palace. Greetings to the Empress. The ministers all bowed to Chen Ning. Chen Ning looked over the palace and found that Empress Dowager Zhou, Mo Chuan, and the Zhao Rong princess had not arrived yet. Everyone, no need to be so polite. Please sit. Her voice was clear and she gently waved her hand, dismissing everyone's etiquette. Then she was led by the eunuchs to her seat and the ministers all respectfully opened a path for her. Suddenly, she felt a sharp gaze directed at her, so she looked in the direction of the gaze. It was a middle-aged man around 40 years old. He was wearing a pure gold crown and a purple robe. He had an imposing appearance and an extraordinary aura. His eyes were filled with energy, looking at her with an unfriendly gaze. This was Chen Ning's first time seeing this person. Looking through her memories, she found that she did not recognize this middle-aged man. Just seeing his crown and clothes, she knew that his rank was not low. If he wasn't a prince, then he was a duke. She also noticed that when she entered the hall earlier, everyone bowed to her, and only this violet-robed middle-aged man stood proudly. Not only did he not bow and pay his respects to her, he instead revealed a disdainful and arrogant expression. That's strange. I've never met him before, and I've never offended him. How did I offend such a big shot to the point that he doesn't like me? But Chen Ning didn't care. She calmly walked past the purple-robed middle-aged man, not even glancing at him from the corner of her eyes. In this world, she did not care about. If she and Mo, she would Hua, she, Mo, she would, she, Mo, and family. Chen Ning sat down on the Empress chair in the center of the hall. To her left was Mo Chuan's dragon chair and above that was Empress Dowager Zhou's seat. Beside Mo Chuan's dragon chair, there was a chair with a beautiful drape placed there. Anyone with a discerning eye could immediately tell who this empty chair was prepared for. Chen Ning's eyes swept over the chair, but she still had a faint and elegant smile on her face. Chapter 1348. Empress, this minister hasn't been feeling well recently, so I haven't been able to attend court. I didn't even attend the Empress conferring ceremony, but this minister has heard of the Empress name. I heard that the Empress used to be King Ding Yuan's princess. Now you've jumped up and become the Empress. This minister really admires this kind of ability. Seeing you today, the Empress is truly charming, no wonder the Emperor dotes on you so much. This minister wants to toast the Empress a cup to show my respect. Chen Ning had not been sitting for long when she saw the purple-robed middle-aged man walk out from the table. He walked in front of her and raised the cup in his hand. His voice was loud, and he deliberately raised his voice to speak. The ministers in the hall were talking to each other, but his voice immediately drowned out everyone's voices, and clearly drilled into everyone's ears. As soon as the purple-robed middle-aged man's voice fell, a gasp filled the hall. The ministers all opened their eyes wide as they looked at the purple-robed man in disbelief. The hall, which was originally very lively, instantly became deathly silent. God! His courage was just too big, he could even say this kind of thing. This was simply openly mocking the Empress. Did he not want his head anymore? Or did he not want his title anymore? The ministers were all shouting in their hearts as they looked at the purple-robed man like he was a monster. But there were some people who revealed cold smiles as they looked at Qin Ning like they were watching a good show. Although Xiao Ru was not smart, she could still hear that the purple-robed man's words were beautiful, but every word was mocking the young miss. Otherwise he would mention King Ding Yuan in this kind of situation. This was clearly humiliating the young miss in front of everyone. You. Who are you? You dare speak to the Empress like this? Xiao Ru took a step forward and stared at the purple-robed middle-aged man. The purple-robed man did not even look at Xiao Ru. He just looked at Qin Ning and said with a cold smile, "You're just a maid. What qualifications do you have to shout in front of this duke? Did your master not teach you the rules of the palace?" His words seemed like he was reprimanding Xiao Ru, but he was actually slapping Qin Ning's face. Xiao Ru's face instantly turned red. She was embarrassed and couldn't help lowering her head and shrinking back. She thought that she had lost face for the young miss in front of everyone again. Qin Ning's eyes swept over the purple-robed man's face. Her lips slightly curled as she revealed a faint cold smile. "You're shouting in front of this princess. Do you understand the rules of the court? This princess maid will naturally be taught by this princess. There is no need for a duke like you to do anything." She leaned back and casually said. Xiao Ru's eyes turned red and tears began to form in her eyes. Whenever she was bullied, eldest young miss would always stand by her side, supporting her and helping her vent her anger. Even if she had to die for the young miss, she would be it. Although Qin Ning had never seen the purple-robed man before, seeing his aggressive tone towards her, her heart skipped a beat. She had already guessed his identity. This purple-robed middle-aged man must be Zhao Rong Juanju's biological father, the Duke of Ning bestowed by the Emperor. Like father, like daughter. His daughter was so hateful, and as her father, he was just as hateful as his daughter, Zhao Rong Juanju. Chapter 1349. The Empress really is arrogant, not even putting this duke in her eyes. Even the Emperor doesn't use this kind of tone to talk to this duke. Duke Ning stared at Qin Ning and spoke in a cold and arrogant voice, looking like he did not put Qin Ning in his eyes at all. He indeed looked down on Qin Ning at all. He and Qin Ning's father, the country-protecting Duke Shenfang, were both ministers and they were both West Chu ministers, but one was a scholar and one was a military officer, so they were not close to each other. But there was another reason why he dared to publicly attack Qin Ning in front of all the ministers and nobles. His heart ached the most for his precious daughter, Zhao Rong. After waiting for an entire 3 years, his daughter had finally returned to the capital city. This should have been a happy occasion, but who would have thought that his beloved daughter would appear in front of him in such a sorry state? She threw herself into his arms and cried that she had met a swindler on the way back to the capital city. Not only had he been tricked out of his priceless carriage, he had even lost his beloved daughter's life. When Duke Ning heard this, he was filled with rage. He immediately sent out large amounts of people to track down that swindler and gave the order to kill. As long as they found that swindler, they would be executed on the spot and killed without mercy. With his status and power, he could be said to be below one person and above 10,000 people in West Chu. Adding in the fact that he had stood by Empress Dowager Zhou's side in the past, helping Mo Chuan ascend to the throne, and after Mo Chuan ascended to the throne, he was very important to him. He had a high position and a high position. Although he had not gone to court for 3 years because of missing his daughter, in the entire court, no one dared to slight him at all. If he wanted to kill a person, it would be as easy as crushing an ant. Not to mention a swindler. Even if the person he wanted to kill was an important minister of the court, he had the right to kill first and report later. It was because of this reason that he had the capital and confidence to mock Qin Ning in front of everyone. But the people he sent out were like looking for a needle in a haystack. They could not find the swindler Zhao Rong was talking about. But very quickly, the Zhao Rong princess entered the palace and recognized Qin Ning. She told everything that had happened to Duke Ning on the day before the Dragon Boat Festival. In front of Duke Ning, she naturally made it sound like she was wronged. She was like a little white flower that had been humiliated. She said that she had not seen her cousin in 3 years and had come to the palace to visit him. Who would have thought that the Empress Chen Ning would suddenly rush in and without a word, she would pour pepper water on her. She even sent the guards to slap her face before chasing her out of the palace. She felt very wronged and went to find the Empress Dowager. Who would have thought that the Empress Chen Ning would not even put the Empress Dowager in her eyes? She chased her to the Peaceful Life Palace and framed her for seducing the emperor, having an ambiguous relationship with the emperor. She even brought 2 nannies to examine her body. In the end, they did something during the examination, causing her to lose her innocence. Zhao Rongjunju cried so hard in Duke Ning's arms that she almost fainted. Her tearful complaint, which distorted the truth, was like gunpowder, almost made Duke Ning's stomach explode. His eyes almost popped out of their sockets, and an overwhelming killing intent and impulse quickly surged up in him. His beloved daughter, who he cherished like a pearl in the palm of his hand, had actually suffered such humiliation and even lost her chastity. This was simply an unbearable monstrous rage. Chapter 1350. Duke Ning almost immediately made up his mind. He must seek justice for his beloved daughter. He must make that empress pay the price for her actions. Zhao Rong, don't cry. The humiliation you've suffered today, father will make her repay you 100 times over. He stroked Zhao Rong's hair and spoke in a cold and hard voice. His eyes revealed a cold intent that could not be looked at. The Princess Zhao Rong fell into his embrace and couldn't help revealing a proud smile. She wanted to rely on her own skills to deal with Qin Ning, and she had already used the informants in the Guanyu Palace to complete the first step of her plan. She had placed the catnip powder-coated clothes into Qin Ning's suitcase. But she never thought that the 1,000-faced young master who had been giving her advice would suddenly disappear. It was like he had disappeared from the world, not showing his face at all. This made her that was filled with confidence suddenly lose her backbone. She thought about it and decided to go all out. She added oil to the fire and told her father about how she had been bullied by Qin Ning. As expected, when Duke Ning heard this, his anger could not be suppressed. His entire body was filled with a cold killing intent. The Princess Zhao Rong was secretly proud of herself. Chen Ning, Chen Ning, this princess move is a 2-pronged attack, so you better take it. Duke Ning had ignored the court for 3 years and did not appear in front of the ministers, but he had suddenly appeared at the Dragon Boat Festival banquet. This surprised and delighted all the ministers. They all came forward to greet him, surrounding him like stars surrounding the moon. Before Chen Ning appeared in the Qing and Palace, Duke Ning was the leader of everyone and all the ministers followed him. This made him feel proud in his heart, not placing Qin Ning in his eyes at all. What bullshit empress, even the emperor was respectful to her. She was just an abandoned woman. Did she really think that she had climbed up a branch and become a phoenix? Not to mention offending his beloved daughter, even if she did not provoke Zhao Rong, he would still look down on this second married woman. He did not know why the emperor wanted to marry a married woman as the empress. What part of her was worthy of the emperor? Duke Ning coldly looked at Qin Ning. Seeing her beautiful face, he gave a cold laugh in his heart. She was just a fox spirit that relied on her beauty to confuse the emperor's heart. Qin Ning saw his careless tone and arrogant appearance and couldn't help snorting in disdain. She raised the wine cup in front of her and with a gentle cough, she stood up. Duke Ning wants to toast this princess with wine. This is truly this princess' honor. Hearing this, Duke Ning looked up and looked at Qin Ning with a look of disdain. His face was filled with disdain. He gave a snort and raised the wine cup to his lips. Before he could drink it, he heard Qin Ning speak again. It's just that this empress has a bad habit. When this empress sees someone who makes this empress feel nauseous, this empress won't be able to drink a single drop of wine. This cup of wine has also changed its taste. After she finished speaking, she splashed the wine on the floor and placed the empty cup back on the table. Then, she sat back down in her chair. The ministers couldn't help making a sound. The ministers could not their minds and their eyes. Ning mind her. But did she know that the person she offended was Duke Ning? But did she know that the person she had offended was Duke Ning? Duke Ning's wine cup stopped by his lips. His face turned hot, and a wave of anger rushed to the top of his head, almost burning in an instant. Chapter 1351. Bastard. Damn. Does this blind woman even know who I am? She actually dared to mock him in front of all the ministers? She even dared to humiliate him in front of everyone. For an instant, he really wanted to charge forward and kill this despicable girl. However, he quickly suppressed the anger in his heart. No, he definitely couldn't. Right now in front of everyone in the Qingyan Palace, no matter how angry he was, he definitely could not attack a single finger of the other side. This was because the other side's status was the Empress and he was her minister. If he made a move, he would be committing a great crime of disrespect. Humph. Duke Ning suppressed his anger and gave a heavy snort. He returned to his seat with a dirty face and sat down on his butt, gasping for breath. Very good, he would remember her. This despicable girl had not only humiliated his precious daughter, she had even dared to slap the respected Duke Ning's face. She really was tired of living. But a little impatience would spoil a great plan. If he wanted to deal with her, he needed to think about it carefully. Duke Ning quickly calmed down. He ignored the greetings of the ministers around him and continued to drink. The more wine he drank, the colder and sharper his eyes became. Xiao Ru saw that the young miss had mercilessly given Duke Ning the cold shoulder. She felt very happy in her heart, but she was also worried for the young miss. Only now did she know that this arrogant and despotic purple-robed man was Zhao Rongjuanju's biological father. Thus, she raised her voice so that everyone present could hear her. Sure enough, dragons give birth to dragons, phoenixes give birth to phoenixes, and mice give birth to sons that can dig holes. She thought that the young miss had offended Duke Ning because of her, so no matter what, she had to take the blame for this on herself. Paw! Duke Ning was filled with rage. He slammed his wine cup onto the ground and glared at Xiao Ru with a murderous gaze. The Empress did not put him in her eyes, and even the maid by her side did not put him in her eyes. If he did not teach this maid a lesson, he would lose face in front of all the ministers. Who would follow him in the future? At this time, Chen Ning turned around and smiled at Xiao Ru. She praised, well said. Truly worthy of my teachings. Come, Xiao Ru, this cup of wine is for you to drink. In the future, you can say whatever you want and do whatever you want. Even if the sky falls down, this princess will be here for you. She personally poured a cup of wine and gave it to Xiao Ru. Xiao Ru had never drunk wine before, but after being praised by Chen Ning, her chest filled with pride. She took the cup and drank it all in one gulp. Her little face turned red and her eyes filled with tears. Young miss, why is this wine so spicy? Xiao Ru stuck out her tongue. Chen Ning revealed a smile. Her eyes drifted over Duke Ning's direction, but she did not look at his face at all. This was blatant contempt and provocation. Duke Ning and the ministers all understood that Chen Ning's words were meant for Duke Ning to hear. She was supporting her maid. Pang! Duke Ning clenched his right hand into a fist and punched the table with all his might, causing the cups and plates to clatter. Then, he suddenly stood up. Because the rage in his chest was becoming stronger and stronger, he almost couldn't suppress it anymore. No. Definitely not. Duke Ning's heart was suddenly alerted. He thought that he had almost fallen for the other side's provocation. Chapter 1352. Duke Ning's eyes slightly narrowed and a blade-like glow shot out at Chen Ning. This girl, she looks innocent and harmless, but her stomach is full of twists and turns. How could Zhao Rong be a match for her? Even I almost fell for her trap. Humph, I really underestimated her. But, so what if her schemes are deep? I still need to let her know how strong I am. As he pondered, he saw the gazes of the courtiers looking at him. He shouted at the attendants around him, "What are you doing here? Do you servants not have eyes? This duke's wine cup has fallen, why aren't you bringing a new one for this duke?" Yes, yes. The palace servant serving wine at the side had long felt the tension in the hole. They all shrunk their necks and didn't dare to breathe, afraid that they would become scapegoats if they didn't show any mercy. At this time, hearing Duke Ning's scolding, a palace maid hurriedly brought over a new wine cup and poured wine for him. Humph, a group of blind servants. This duke has been sick for 3 years and you all don't even put this duke in your eyes, daring to neglect me like this. The dirty hands of your servants are not fit to pour wine for this duke. Duke Ning did not even look at the wine the maid poured for him. With a wave of his sleeve, he threw the cup to the ground. The maid kneeled down in fear as her face turned pale. Everyone in the hall who had ears could hear his indirect scolding of the locust tree. Duke Ning was scolding the servants, but he was actually pointing the spear at the Empress. Everyone knew this in their hearts. They secretly looked at each other as they were filled with confusion. Duke Ning had ignored the court for 3 years, but today he had appeared to oppose the Empress. The two of them were attacking each other. What was the reason for this? Did the two of them have a grudge against each other? But when everyone thought about it, they understood. Duke Ning was doing this to clear the obstacles for his daughter to sit on the throne of the Empress. Everyone was sweeping the snow in front of their door. Who cared about the frost on other people's roofs? They just needed to watch the show, talk less and eat more. Don't provoke a louse that can't be shaken off for no reason. The ministers all lowered their heads, as if they did not feel the tense atmosphere in the hall. The divine doctor of the ancient era has arrived. Suddenly, the sharp voice of a eunuch came from the entrance of the hall. Duke Ning was sitting calmly in his chair, but when he heard this, he suddenly stood up. His face was filled with excitement and disbelief as he looked in the direction of the entrance. He got up too quickly and fiercely, causing the chair to fall to the ground with a clang, making a loud noise. The ministers all turned to look at the source of the sound. Everyone revealed a confused look as they followed Duke Ning's gaze to the entrance of the hall. Ancient Divine Doctor. What ancient divine doctor? Who was this person that could actually make Duke Ning, who would remain calm and collected even if Mount Tai collapsed in front of him, so agitated that he lost his composure? They saw a young man in a wheelchair slowly appear in front of everyone. He was only in his 20s and had a delicate and pretty face. He wore a half-worn linen gown and was dressed very simply. However, his entire body exuded an aura of being aloof from the world. He was like an orchid that grew in a valley, proud and independent. Chen Ning's eyes sparkled. She had already heard from Gu Qingze that he was coming to the palace banquet, but she never thought that he would actually come. Chapter 1353. Duke Ning took quick steps forward to welcome him. He no longer had the domineering and arrogant appearance from before. Instead, he had a face full of smiles. His smile was like a flower, causing the officials to think that they were seeing things and couldn't help but rub their eyes. Divine Dr. Gu, this duke is honored to have you come. I hope that Divine Dr. Gu does not take offense that I was unable to welcome you earlier. His words were said humbly and respectfully. His intention to curry favor was clear in his words. The courtiers all stared with wide eyes in shock. They stared unblinkingly at Gu Qingze, but no one recognized who this young man sitting in the chair was. He could actually make the arrogant Duke Ning speak to him in such a condescending tone. They believed that even if the emperor came, Duke Ning would not act so humbly. Could this young man's background be greater than the emperor's? Duke Ning personally sent an invitation. With such great face, how could Qingze not come? Duke Ning does not need to be so courteous, Gu Qingze said with an indifferent expression. Hearing this, Duke Ning was so happy that he couldn't close his mouth. He personally stepped forward and pushed Gu Qingze's wheelchair into the main hall. Then, he said in a clear voice to all the officials in the hall, "Colleagues, today, this Duke would like to introduce to everyone the #1 divine doctor in the world, Divine Dr. Gu Qingze." As soon as he finished speaking, there was a burst of surprised exclamations in the hall. All the courtiers in the hall could not help but stand up. The title of the #1 divine doctor in the world was too famous. Not a single one of them didn't know of it. But no one would have thought that Duke Ning would have such great face to be able to invite this #1 divine doctor to the palace to attend Zhao Rong Juanju's birthday banquet. This was an incomparable honor and face. No wonder the arrogant Duke Ning was so careful and humble in front of this young man. Even their hearts ached and wanted to go up and curry favor with the #1 divine doctor. But seeing Duke Ning firmly gripping the back of Gu Qingze's chair and looking down on the world, everyone understood that this Duke Ning was clearly using this #1 divine doctor as a rare commodity. How could he allow them to get close? "I've heard of the great name of Divine Dr. Gu. Seeing you today, you truly live up to your reputation. To be able to see the golden face of Divine Dr. Gu, this is the fortune of 3 lifetimes. I heard that Divine Dr. Gu's medical skills are divine. He is truly like an immortal. Duke Ning's face is still great to invite the #1 divine doctor. Amazing, amazing." The courtiers swarmed forward, surrounding Gu Qingze in the middle. Words of flattery and fawning lingered in his ears. Gu Qingze's face was expressionless, as if he hadn't heard the flattery of the crowd at all. His eyes were slightly closed, and he completely ignored them. Duke Ning smiled and said, "It is a pleasant surprise for Divine Physician Gu to attend my daughter's banquet. Everyone, please make way and let Divine Physician Gu rest and have a few cups of wine." The more Gu Qingze ignored the officials, the happier he was. He knew that Gu Qingze's temperament was very eccentric. Gu Qingze had always been blunt with people and things that he didn't like. The fact that Gu Qingze was able to appear here today was enough to show how much he valued him. Chapter 1354. When the courtiers heard Duke Ning's words, they all opened up a path for him. Duke Ning personally pushed Gu Qingze over to his seat and said to Gu Qingze with a smile, "Divine Dr. Gu, is it all right if you sit next to this duke?" His seat was right under the Princess Zhao Rong, and it could be said that other than the royal family, it was the most distinguished and conspicuous seat in the hall. It was only a step away from Chen Ning's seat, so it could be seen that he had an important position in the court. Gu Qingze gave a slight nod and did not have any objections. "That's fine." Duke Ning revealed a look of joy. He never thought that Gu Qingze's attitude towards him would be this different. He was cold and indifferent to the ministers around him, but the way he spoke to him could be considered kind. He immediately turned to the eunuchs and shouted, "Why aren't you preparing the best tableware for the divine Dr. Gu and bringing out the best wine and fruits?" The eunuchs and palace maids didn't dare to be negligent. They immediately brought over a table carved from a whole piece of red sandalwood. The cups, plates, and bowls that were brought up were also completely different from those of the ministers. It could be said that they enjoyed the same highest treatment as Duke Ning. Duke Ning picked up the wine jug and personally poured a cup of wine for Gu Qingze. Gu Qingze sat in the chair and his lips curled up as he revealed a faint smile. "I, Gu Qingze, am just a commoner with no official duties, but the Duke is an important minister of the country with a high position. You are below one person and above tens of thousands of people, but the Duke is personally pouring wine for this commoner. How could this commoner dare accept this?" Chen Ning found that his mouth was just being modest, but he did not even lift his butt from the chair and did not have any intentions of standing up to receive the wine cup. That carefree appearance almost made her break out in laughter. Xiao Ru couldn't hold it in and gave a gee laugh. When Duke Ning heard this laugh, his face turned dark and he glared at Xiao Ru. But in front of Gu Qingze, he couldn't be angry right now. He pretended not to hear it and the smile on his face did not decrease at all. The divine Dr. Gu is too polite. The divine doctor's medical skills are #1 in the world and everyone respects him. Being able to pour a cup of wine for the divine Dr. Gu is this duke's honor. This is a fine wine that has been stored in the palace for several decades. It is not something normal people can taste and it is very mellow. Dr. Gu, please have a taste. He saw that Gu Qingze did not have any intentions of raising the cup, so he personally picked up the wine cup and placed it in front of Gu Qingze. This action made all the ministers click their tongues. God! How much face did he have to enjoy such treatment from Duke Ning? This ancient divine doctor was really amazing. However, Gu Qingze raised his hand and blocked the wine cup that Duke Ning had brought to his face. He said expressionlessly, "Thank you for your kind intentions, High Duke, but I don't drink alcohol." Duke Ning's face stiffened, and his hand that was holding the wine cup stopped in the air. He didn't know whether he should pass it forward or withdraw it. Ning is, he is, Ning is, and is, Ning is. High Duke, please don't misunderstand. I practice medicine and never touch alcohol. This is because my hand holding the needle will be unstable after drinking, and I won't be able to perform acupuncture on the patient. Gu Qingze looked at him and then said in a soft voice. Duke Ning's heart calmed down and he laughed as he said, "So it's like this. Someone, quickly take away the wine and replace it with the best fruit juice." The ministers all revealed a knowing smile. Chapter 1355. If one was courteous to others, they must have a request. This divine doctor of ancient times was known as the #1 divine doctor in the world, and Duke Ning was so courteous to him, it was clear that he had a request. Duke Ning definitely wanted to ask the divine doctor to diagnose his illness. This was like a louse on a monk's head, it was obvious. Everyone couldn't help but think. Duke Ning hadn't gone to court for 3 years and had been resting at home. Everyone said that he missed his daughters so much that he fell ill. But once Xiao Rongjunju returned to the capital, his illness was immediately cured. When they saw him today, his face was glowing and he was in high spirits. He didn't look like he was suffering from a serious illness. But if Duke Ning wasn't seeking treatment, then why was he currying favor with divine doctor of ancient times? Everyone couldn't guess the reason and pricked up their ears to listen to the conversation between Duke Ning and Gu Qingze. Duke Ning personally poured a cup of bright red fruit juice and delivered it in front of Gu Qingze. Many thanks, Duke Ning Darren. Gu Qingze had been sitting in the chair the whole time. He bowed slightly and took the cup. Ever since he entered the hall, his butt hadn't left the chair. In the eyes of everyone, they all thought that his legs were inconvenient, that he was disabled, or that his feet were seriously injured. Duke Ning also muttered in his heart, since he's called the #1 divine doctor, could it be that he can't even cure the illness in his legs? And he's so young, could it be that he doesn't have an undeserved reputation? He decided to test the waters. 10 years ago, this duke had heard of the great name of divine doctor of ancient times. It was like thunder piercing my ears. Seeing you today, it really is better to meet you in person. The grace and grace of divine doctor of ancient times has truly made this duke look at you in a different light. This duke greatly admires divine doctor's medical skills. This cup of wine will first be a toast to divine doctor to show my respect. Duke Ning raised his wine cup and raised it towards Gu Qingze with a smile. Even though his words were beautiful and pleasing to the ear, those who were a bit smarter could hear the deeper meaning in his words. Now it seemed that Gu Qingze was only in his early 20s. How old could he have been 10 years ago? He was just a child in his teens and he actually enjoyed the title of the #1 divine doctor? If he wasn't a swindler, then he was a swindler who deceived the world. If this young man in front of him was a real divine doctor, then after hearing Duke Ning's probing words, he would probably show his true skills to prove his identity. Gu Qingze raised his cup of fruit juice and drank it all in one gulp before putting the cup down. Many thanks for the Duke's praise, this commoner doesn't dare accept it. After he said this, he folded his sleeves and did not say a single word. This action was out of everyone's expectations. The courtiers couldn't help but speculate that there was a 70 to 80% chance that this so-called divine doctor was a swindler. This was because he not dare to show in front of everyone. He was clearly had a guilty conscience. Duke Ning was also stunned. His eyes that were looking at Gu Qingze narrowed slightly, revealing a sharp glint. He now realized that he, who had seen countless people, could not see through the depth of this young man. If one were to say that he was arrogant and rude, he would answer all his questions. His attitude was not very earnest, but it was not rude either. King Ning's words. But one Ning, he was not, 11111 was 111. Ningguo Gongjing was prepared to say a few more words to test Gu Qingze, but he saw Gu Qingze suddenly raise his eyes and look over everyone in the hall. His eyes passed over Chen Ning's face and did not stop at all, as if he did not recognize her at all. Chapter 1356. The Dragon Boat Festival banquet was set to begin at noon. At this time, all the invited ministers had arrived and it was already past noon, but Empress Dowager Zhou, Mo Chuan, and the Zhao Rong princess were still nowhere to be seen. Could something have happened? The ministers were already wondering in their hearts, but because of Gu Qingze's sudden arrival, everyone's attention was attracted and they completely forgot about this matter. With Gu Qingze mentioning it at this time, even Duke Ning felt this was strange. Quickly go and see what's going on. He turned to the eunuch beside him and scolded him in a low voice. The eunuch quickly obeyed and left. Chen Ning did not feel this was strange. It was the Zhao Rong princess' birthday banquet. If she didn't play some tricks, she really wouldn't be her. Her guess was right, this was the Zhao Rong princess' idea. She purposely came late, wanting everyone to wait for her and then appear in front of everyone's eyes. After noon, a eunuch finally appeared at the entrance of the Qingyan palace while gasping for breath. He shouted in a sharp voice. The Empress Dowager has arrived. The Emperor has arrived. The Zhao Rong princess has arrived. The hall was filled with awe. Everyone stood up and looked at the entrance of the hall. They saw Mo Chuan and the Zhao Rong princess supporting Empress Dowager Zhou on the left and right, appearing in front of everyone. Greetings to the Emperor, greetings to the Empress Dowager, greetings to the Zhao Rong princess. The ministers all bowed down, welcoming Mo Chuan and Empress Dowager Zhou's arrival. Even Chen Ning stood up from her seat and bowed down in Empress Dowager Zhou's direction. The Zhao Rong princess' eyes were filled with pride as she looked over at Chen Ning. She supported Empress Dowager Zhou and proudly accepted everyone's bow. Humph, so what if you're the Empress? Aren't you still bowing down to this princess? No need to be so polite. Empress Dowager Zhou was clearly in a good mood today. She had a warm smile on her face as she held Mo Chuan in one hand and the Zhao Rong princess in the other. She smiled as she walked to the seats with the support of the two of them. The three of them sat down. Everyone, don't stand on ceremony. Sit, sit. Empress Dowager Zhou spoke with a smile. Her face was glowing, not looking sick at all. This made Chen Ning even more certain that Empress Dowager Zhou's illness yesterday was just an excuse to keep Mo Chuan here. She slightly looked up at Mo Chuan and Mo Chuan was also looking at her. The two of them looked at each other. Mo Chuan's eyes were very complicated, filled with deep affection and apology. Chen Ning revealed a faint smile and winked at Mo Chuan, meaning that she understood everything. Mo Chuan's heart relaxed and he revealed a faint smile to her. The two of them had a tacit understanding. Only the scene of their eyes meeting was seen by the Zhao Rong princess. The handkerchief in her hand was crumpled into a ball and a dark look flashed in her eyes, but she quickly looked away from Chen Ning. King, little slut, this Princess Chuan, this princess, this princess, he's Chong. Emperor's spirit, is Ling, and I will. Dower. Chen, Chuan Ling Shiyu, Dao, Chen, Mo Yang, Jia's Chen, Dowager, Chu, Jia, and, 1, and Dowager, is, you, and after Empress Dowager Zhou sat down, she looked around the hall with a curious look on her face. Chapter 1357. Duke Ning revealed a faint smile and came forward to greet Empress Dowager Zhou. He said with a smile, Empress Dowager, this minister has invited an esteemed guest today. This guest's identity is not normal, the Empress Dowager will be very happy if she knows. Empress Dowager Zhou said with a smile, oh, which esteemed guest is it? She followed Duke Ning's gaze and saw Gu Qingze. She was a bit stunned, thinking that this person was very young and unfamiliar. He was wearing a commoner's clothing and was actually sitting next to Duke Ning. He had a calm expression on his face, not showing any fear at all. She noticed that everyone had stood up and bowed to the three of them. Only this young man was sitting arrogantly in his chair and did not even lift his butt. Could it be that the esteemed guest Duke Ning was talking about was this fellow who didn't understand etiquette at all? She felt a bit of displeasure towards Gu Qingze in her heart and the smile on her face faded a bit. She heard Duke Ning reach out to Gu Qingze and say with a smile, I believe the Empress Dowager has heard of the #1 divine doctor in the world. The so-called hearing is not as good as seeing. That #1 divine doctor is the ancient divine doctor in front of us, Mr. Gu. Hearing this, Empress Dowager Zhou was shocked. She stood up in surprise and asked, it's him. Although she had heard from Mo Chuan that they had invited the #1 divine doctor to cure Chu Xiaobai, she never thought that this young man was that famous divine doctor. He was this young, how could he have this kind of fame? How could he have the ability to bring someone back from the dead? Was he a swindler? Chuan, is this really the ancient divine doctor? Empress Dowager Zhou slightly turned her head and asked Mo Chuan for confirmation. When Mo Chuan saw Gu Qingze appear at the banquet, he was also surprised, but he never showed his emotions. His eyes looked over Gu Qingze's face, but there was nothing strange on his face. He replied, that's right, this is the ancient divine doctor. Empress Dowager Zhou gave an oh sound. She held the armrest of the chair and slowly sat down. She gave a slight nod to Gu Qingze, I've long heard of the ancient divine doctor's name. Seeing you today, you really are a talented person. She had never personally seen Gu Qingze's medical skills, so she didn't know how to praise him. She could only vaguely praise him as a talented person. Chen Ning secretly laughed in her stomach. She slightly lowered her head, not letting the others see the smile on her face. Mo Chuan noticed her small movements and secretly said, Greetings Empress Dowager Zhou, Empress Zhou. Gu Qingze stood up from the chair and said to Empress Dowager Zhou, Greetings to the Empress Dowager. After he saluted, he sat back in his chair and shut his mouth, not saying a word. Duke Ning and the other ministers were so shocked that their mouths were agape, looking at him in astonishment. Duke Ning and the ministers all had their mouths open. You can stand up. Duke Ning was so shocked that he was tongue-tied. Lord Duke, could it be that you think this commoner is a cripple? Gu Qingze's lips curled up slightly as he lightly mocked. When said, shaved Guyan Dowager Chen and said, Dowager Yun, and, Ningli does sitting. Shar. Dowager Ching Chin, dong dong emergency, dong. This commoner had thought that the Duke's vision was different from others, but I didn't expect it to be no different from others. Gu Qingze rolled his eyes and actually didn't give Duke Ning any face at all. Chapter 1358. But while he could tolerate it, Zhao Rong Regent Princess could not. Who do you think you are? How dare you speak to my father with this kind of tone? Stand up. This Regent Princess orders you to immediately apologize to my father. She fiercely slammed the table and stood up. She pointed at Gu Qingze and shouted angrily. Duke Ning jumped in fright and turned around to glare at Zhao Rong Regent Princess. He scolded, Zhao Rong, don't be rude to Miracle Dr. Gu. Come over and greet Miracle Dr. Gu. He waved his hand at Zhao Rong Regent Princess. Zhao Rong Regent Princess's mouth twitched and she said with a face full of disdain, Father, don't be tricked by this person. There are all kinds of swindlers in the martial world these days. As long as they have a glib tongue, they can make the dead come back to life. He is so young, how could he be the #1 miracle doctor in the world? From your daughter's point of view, he is a swindler through and through. Duke Ning had originally been guessing whether or not this Gu Qingze's reputation was really exaggerated. He had seen many people, but no matter how he looked at him, he did not seem like the #1 miracle doctor in the world. The miracle doctors in his memory all had the demeanor of a sage. They were at least 40 years old. How could he be a brat in his early 20s? Looking at his young appearance, even if he started learning medicine in his mother's womb, how many medical books could he have read? Even though he was suspicious, he still scolded Zhao Rong Regent Princess, what does a girl like you know? Don't speak nonsense. You have offended the miracle doctor. Hurry and apologize to the miracle doctor. Gu Qingze already knew what he meant when he heard him call him godly doctor. He faintly sneered and pretended not to understand. He calmly sat in his chair, poured himself a cup of fruit juice, and drank it in one gulp. Then he poured another cup, one cup after another, and drank several cups in a row, revealing a satisfied expression. Duke Ning saw this and became even more suspicious. If he really was the #1 miracle doctor in the world, then what kind of good things had he not eaten and drunk? Why would he love a cup of fruit juice so much? Zhao Rong Junju stomped her feet and said loudly, Father, look at him. He looks like a country bumpkin who has never seen the world. How could he be a miracle doctor? Don't be fooled by his flowery words. I know him. He is a country bumpkin. She saw Gu Qingze's carefree appearance of not putting her in his eyes and suddenly recognized him. When she had exchanged carriages with Qin Ning, this young man had also been in Qin Ning's carriage. He was clearly on the same side as that little fox spirit, he was not a good person at all. Nonsense, if you keep speaking nonsense, Father will heavily punish you. Duke Ning pretended to scold Zhao Rong, then he turned to Gu Qingze and revealed a smile. Divine Dr. Gu, my daughter is still a child and speaks without thinking. She is not sensible and offended you with her words. Please don't take it to heart. I apologize on her behalf. She doesn't know what she wants. She doesn't, but she doesn't. His status was honorable, and in the entire hall, other than a few people, he was the only one with a high rank. Yet, he actually bowed and apologized to a young man who didn't even have the slightest official position, causing all the officials to be greatly shocked. If it was anyone else, seeing Duke Ning bow to them, they would have a look of fear as they stood up to return the bow. Chapter 1359. This time, no matter how good Duke Ning's temperament was, he couldn't suppress the anger in his heart. He thought to himself, I'm the Duke of the Imperial Court, and you're just a commoner. When I salute you, it's out of politeness, but you actually accept it so honestly. Do you really think I'm a soft persimmon that you can bully? If Zhao Rong is right and you are a swindler, then wouldn't it be annoying for this Duke to lower his voice to you like this? He straightened his back and his voice was filled with a bit of arrogance and impoliteness. Divine Dr. Gu, although my daughter is young, she is very straightforward and says whatever she wants to say. She suspects that Divine Dr. Gu has an undeserved reputation, so why doesn't Divine Dr. Gu show off your miraculous medical skills in front of everyone? It will also shut my daughter's mouth, letting her know what it means to be a frog at the bottom of a well and what it means to judge a person by their appearance. Even Chen Ning secretly admired his speaking skills. He really was worthy of being Zhao Rong's daughter's father. He really was an incomparably sly old fox. The gazes of everyone in the hall turned towards Gu Qingze in unison, waiting to see how he would answer. If he didn't show off his skills, it was already 100% certain that he was a swindler. Even Empress Dowager Zhou revealed an interested gaze as she looked at Gu Qingze. It was because the #1 divine doctor in the world was too famous and Gu Qingze was too young, which was why everyone was questioning him. Out of everyone here, only Imo Chuan, Chen Ning, and Xiao Ru had personally witnessed Gu Qingze's miraculous medical skills, so they were completely convinced by him. This kind of questioning, Gu Qingze had heard it countless times in the past 10 years. He had already heard it so many times that his ears had already grown calluses. If it was normal times, he would not care. Since you're questioning me, then don't come to see me. You want me to show off my skills? Who do you think you are? He would have already patted his butt and left. But today, he slowly put down his cup, raised his eyelids, and lazily glanced at Duke Ning. Sir Duke, you want this commoner to show off his medical skills? Divine Dr. Gu, please show off your skills and open this little girl's eyes. Duke Ning said with a faint smile. All right, since it's like this commoner will show off his skills. Gu Qingze nodded. Chen Ning knew that Gu Qingze had a strange temper and would turn hostile with a single word. Yesterday, she had only mentioned Imo Chuan and Gu Qingze had already lost his temper and kicked her out. Today in the palace, he did not even look at her, like he did not know her at all. Seeing him agree to Duke Ning's question without any hesitation at this time, she couldn't help being surprised. Sure, I'm sure it will be an eye-opener for all of you to witness the medical skills of the ancient divine physician. Duke Ning said with a smile. He glanced at Zhao Rong Princess out of the corner of his eye, signaling her to stay calm. Gu Qingze declined to comment. He sat in his chair and swept his gaze over all the officials in the hall. He casually pointed at one of them and said, "You, come here." The official pointed at his own nose and said in disbelief, "Me? Ning it. Ning it Gu, it Ning, it Gu, I ask. Chen. Ning. Divine Physician Gu, may I know why you summoned me here?" "Of course it's to treat your illness," Gu Qingze said impatiently. Chapter 1360. You really aren't sick. Gu Qingze looked at him. The official gave an affirmative nod. But I said you are sick and it's a kind of shameful sickness, Gu Qingze suddenly said. Hearing this, everyone present was stunned. The official was also stunned, but he quickly came back to his senses. His face turned red as he said, You're insulting this official. I'm just treating your illness, how is this insulting? If you insist that you aren't sick, do you dare take off your hat and let others see it? The official was stunned. He looked at Gu Qingze in a daze, not moving at all. Duke Ning impatiently said, To have the divine Dr. Gu treat your illness, this is a blessing that others can't even beg for. The divine Dr. Gu wants you to take off your hat, why are you using all sorts of excuses? Take off your hat. The official trembled in shock. He took a few steps back and shook his head, No. I can't take it off. Duke Ning knit his brows and said, Someone come, take off his hat. No, Sir Duke, you can't take off your hat, don't. The official was panic-stricken. he kneeled down in front of Duke Ning and begged. 2 guards came over from the side and took off the official hat on his head without saying anything. Hua! Everyone looked over at the same time and immediately let out gasps of surprise. They saw that the official's head was completely bald, with not a single blade of grass growing on it. The surrounding hair was also sparse. The official was only around 30 years old and no one thought that his hair loss would be this serious. It seemed like it wouldn't be long before he became completely bald. In the West Chu country, whether it was a man or a woman, they all had thick, dense, and black hair. The men also kept their hair like the women and then tied it up with a hairpin before wearing a crown. If a man lost his hair, he would be laughed at by everyone. Everyone thought, no wonder the official refused to take off his hat, it was because he was afraid of being laughed at. You're about to lose all your hair and you still insist that you aren't sick. Gu Qingze coldly stared at the official. The official couldn't help explaining, this official does have a hair loss problem, but this hair loss isn't an illness. Who says it isn't an illness? If I say it's an illness, then it's an illness. I'll give you a prescription and you can take the medicine. In a month, if your illness isn't cured, then you can send someone to the Godly Doctor Valley and destroy my reputation as a godly doctor. The official was surprised and happy as he said, many thanks to the Godly Doctor, many thanks to the Godly Doctor. A clever eunuch on the side immediately brought over a brush and ink. Gu Qingze picked up the brush and quickly wrote a prescription before giving it to the official. The official acted as if he had received a treasure. After looking at it a few times, he hid it in his bosom as if it was a precious treasure. Then, he thanked Gu Qingze profusely. Quite a few of the older officials present were deeply troubled by hair loss. However, hair loss was not an illness, but it was a fatal problem. Regardless of whether it was an imperial physician or the most famous doctor in the capital, they were all helpless against the problem of hair loss. At this time, when they saw that the official actually had the prescription to cure hair loss, they were all envious and jealous of him. They couldn't wait to snatch the prescription from his arms. Chapter 1361. Although the prescription that Gu Qingze had given the official said that it would take 3 months to see the effects, everyone present believed without a doubt that after 3 months, the official would definitely show up. The joy in Duke Ning's heart bloomed like a flower, and he was grinning from ear to ear. He had finally confirmed the identity of this young man. As expected, he was the #1 genius doctor in the world. He couldn't contain his joy. Zhao Rong, royal princess, however, curled her lips and said, "This isn't that great. Maybe that Jianghu swindler colluded with this Darren, or maybe he found out in advance that this Darren has hair loss and purposely put on a good show. Taking a month to see the effects of a single prescription, what kind of genius doctor is he? In this royal princess's opinion, he doesn't live up to his reputation." Duke Ning's eyebrows twitched. He originally wanted to scold her, but he suddenly had a thought and thought that Zhao Rong's words were somewhat reasonable. What if what had just happened was a two-man show put on by this young man and that official? Zhao Rong, everyone can see the medical skills of Dr. Gu. Everyone believes in him, so why are you the only one that doesn't agree? What does a silly little girl like you know? If you dare speak nonsense again, don't blame me for kicking you out. He reprimanded Zhao Rong with a stern face. But anyone with a discerning eye could see and hear that he was reprimanding Zhao Rong on the surface, but he was secretly trying to provoke her. It was obvious that he also didn't believe in Gu Qingze's medical skills. Gu Qingze raised his eyelids and indifferently said, "Lord Duke, there is no need to be angry. Your beloved daughter's words are reasonable. Since your beloved daughter doesn't believe me, then please ask your beloved daughter to randomly point out a person. I don't need to feel their pulse, and I don't even need to ask about their diagnosis to determine what illness they have. If I'm wrong, you can punish me however you want." As soon as he finished speaking, the sound of people sucking in a breath of cold air could be heard in the main hall. Everyone present thought, this young man has such big words. Without feeling their pulse or asking about their diagnosis, he can clearly tell a person's illness. Even if he's an immortal, it's impossible. Everyone revealed looks of disbelief on their faces. Even Empress Dowager Zhou couldn't help shaking her head. She looked at Mo Chuan and whispered in his ear, "Silly son, you've also been tricked by this swindler. He isn't the #1 divine doctor at all, so where did you find this swindler from? You didn't even verify his identity and just let him cure Xiao Bai's illness. No wonder Xiao Bai has been unconscious for several days. This widow thinks he's just bragging and colluding with others to swindle money. Once Duke Ning proves that he is a liar, he will be punished and kill him. That way, no one will dare swindle and actually sway an emperor." Ning didn't Mo Ning Xiaoqingza a smile and he was a lie, Mo Chuan's wrong, and a smile to tell. He turned his head slightly and revealed a gentle smile to Qin Ning. He believed that Gu Qingze would definitely have a way to prove his identity. Although he didn't know why Gu Qingze would appear at Zhao Rong's banquet, he didn't come with good intentions. He was Ning Er's master, so he wouldn't come to harm her. So he just silently watched Gu Qingze's performance. As for what kind of show he wanted to perform, he was very interested in it. "Very good, you'll let this princess point at anyone. Then, my father will do." Chapter 1362. Zhao Rong Region Princess did not believe a single word of Gu Qingze's words. She only wanted to find someone who would not collude with Gu Qingze and someone she could trust. Of everyone present, the only person she trusted was her father, Duke Ning. Duke Ning never would have thought that Zhao Rong would point at him. He first froze and then he was secretly happy. He purposely showed anger on his face and scolded Zhao Rong. "Nonsense. Zhao Rong, you are becoming more and more daring. You even dare to point at your father. After you left the capital, your father missed you so much that he fell ill and did not go to court for 3 years. After you returned to the capital, your father saw that you were safe and sound. Everyone in the capital knows about this. Aren't you purposely making things difficult for Dr. Gu?" Zhao Rong Region Princess had not thought of this. She thought that this wasn't making things difficult for Gu Qingze. Her father clearly thought that her question was too easy. Then this region princess will change to someone else. She prepared to change targets. Gu Qingze coldly cut her off. "No need. Your Highness is right, the High Duke is indeed suffering from a strange illness, but this illness is not caused by missing you, Your Highness." His gaze fell on Duke Ning and his lips curled up. "Duke Ning, what illness do you have? Do you want this commoner to say it in front of everyone?" Duke Ning and Zhao Rong Region Princess were both stunned. Zhao Rong Region Princess did not believe his words and immediately shouted, "Okay, since you can see it, then say it." "Humph. This region princess knows my father's body the best. He is not sick at all. You might be able to fool others, but you can't fool me." Duke Ning's face darkened and he shouted, "Zhao Rong, shut up." He glared at Zhao Rong Region Princess with a complicated expression. He didn't know if he was angry or strange at his precious daughter. Zhao Rong closed her mouth after being glared at by her father. She looked dazedly at Duke Ning and wondered what was wrong with her father. Could it be that her father really had a strange illness that she didn't know about? Duke Ning moved his lips and looked at Gu Qingze. He wanted to say something but stopped. Because Gu Qingze was not wrong. He really did have a strange illness. It was this strange illness that had tortured him for 3 years and caused him to not show his face in public. Everyone outside said that he missed his daughter so much that he became ill. When these words reached his ears, not only did he not avoid the rumor, but he sent people to spread it wantonly in the capital. Everyone praised him as a loving and good father, but no one knew the true reason behind it. He was plagued by a strange illness, but he didn't dare to summon an imperial physician to treat him. This was because this strange illness was really hard to talk about. If it was spread out through the mouth of an imperial physician, where would he, state Duke Ning, put his face? He did not have the face to go out. After Zhao Rong returned to the capital, he was overjoyed and his mood became much better. However, the strange illness that had tormented him for 3 years had not been eliminated. He had only thought of ways to hide it. The reason why he had spent so much effort to find out Gu Qing's whereabouts and had been humbling himself and condescending to curry favor with him was all because of his hidden illness. He hoped that Gu Qing's could not see it, but he also hoped that he could see what illness he had. She hoped that Gu Qing's would not be able to tell, but she also hoped that he would be able to tell what illness she was suffering from. Chapter 1363. But for him to admit that he had a hidden illness in front of everyone, this was hard for him to say. Zhao Rong Princess waited for a while, but Duke Ning did not say anything. She glanced at Chen Ning from the corner of her eyes and saw a smile that didn't seem like a smile, as if he was mocking her. The fire in her heart began to burn. This surnamed Gu and that little fox spirit were on the same side, both of them were not good people. He was not a divine doctor at all, he was sent into the palace by that little fox spirit to deceive everyone. That's right, it must be that little slut that wanted to curry favor with the Empress Dowager. She knew that the Empress Dowager was not feeling well, so she had this surnamed Gu pretend to be a divine doctor. She wanted to cure the Empress Dowager's illness and take credit for it. Humph, that little slut really has a good plan. This matter could be hidden from everyone, but it couldn't be hidden from the eyes of Zhao Rong Princess. She had to expose this swindler's true face in front of everyone. Father, say something. Tell this swindler that you aren't sick at all. Zhao Rong Princess confidently shouted in a loud voice. She had been by Duke Ning's side for the past few days and found that her father was eating well and sleeping well. He was full of energy and his face was glowing, not looking sick at all. Pa! Just as she finished speaking, a loud and clear slap landed on her face, causing her to be stunned for a moment. It also stunned everyone present. Duke Ning had actually slapped his beloved daughter in front of everyone. What was going on? Were their eyes playing tricks on them, or were they dreaming? Father, you hit me. I am your blood-related daughter, you actually hit me. Zhao Rong also had a look of disbelief. The right side of her face was clearly imprinted with 5 red fingerprints. Duke Ning had used a lot of strength in this slap, causing her to feel a burning pain. But no matter how painful her face was, it couldn't compare to the pain in her heart. Tears began to fall from her eyes. Not only was her heart in pain, she also felt shame, especially after being slapped by her own father in front of Mo Chuan and all the ministers. Zhao Rong, kneel down for me and apologize to the divine doctor. Zhao Rong's tears did not soften Duke Ning's heart at all. His face was filled with anger as he shouted at Zhao Rong. Zhao Rong Princess had been pampered by her parents since she was young. The two of them loved her dearly and they never said anything harsh to her. She had never seen her father be this strict before. Her lips curled and she wanted to cry, but she was scared by Duke Ning's angry expression. She wanted to cry, but she didn't dare. She sobbed, but she stubbornly refused to kneel. Why should I kneel? I'm Zhao Rong Junju that was personally conferred by the emperor's older cousin. Who does he think he is? Father, have you gone senile? You actually made your daughter kneel to a Jianghu swindler. Zhao of. Another heavy slap landed on her cheek, causing her to stagger and almost fall. Duke Ning was filled with rage as he charged forward and slapped her twice. Although these 2 slaps were not heavy, Zhao Rong had never been hit by her father before. She didn't know what was going on with these slaps, not knowing where she was. Was she having a nightmare? The people around were stunned by Duke Ning's actions. The entire place was silent, one could hear a pin drop. Chapter 1364. You're not allowed to cry. Duke Ning shouted in a sharp voice that shook the roof. Zhao Rong Princess was frightened by her father's fierce look. She looked at her father in a daze with her mouth wide open as tears continued to fall from her eyes. Duke Ning turned around and said to Gu Qingze in a satisfied and apologetic voice, "Divine Dr. Gu, it is all because this duke did not teach my daughter well, allowing her to speak out of turn and offend the divine doctor. This duke will apologize to you on her behalf." He cupped his hands to Gu Qingze again. Gu Qingze softly said, "Your daughter made a mistake, so the duke will apologize on her behalf." "Sir Duke, does your waist not hurt?" His sudden words stunned Duke Ning. He subconsciously replied, "This duke does not have a waist injury." "Ha, if your beloved daughter keeps offending people, then Duke will have to apologize on her behalf. If you bow too much, I'm afraid that Duke's waist won't be able to take it. This commoner should prescribe some medicine for Duke's waist. It's better to prepare for a rainy day." After he finished speaking, he glanced at Zhao Rong Junju out of the corner of his eye and laughed coldly. The taunting in his voice could be heard by everyone present. He clearly did not want to let this go, wanting Zhao Rong to kneel down and apologize to him. Duke Ning gritted his teeth and said to Zhao Rong, "Bastard, why aren't you kneeling down and apologizing to the divine Dr. Gu?" Zhao Rong Princess' face turned red and white, then white and red. If she had to kneel down in front of everyone, it would be better if she died. "Cousin, they're all bullying me, even my father doesn't love me anymore. You have to help Zhao Rong." She suddenly cried as she threw herself at Mo Chuan's feet. She cried in sorrow as her two white jade hands grabbed onto Mo Chuan's dragon robe. She looked up as tears continued to fall from her cheeks. She was truly a pear blossom in the rain, looking very pitiful. When she was wronged, the first person she thought of was Mo Chuan. At this time, she grabbed onto Mo Chuan like he was her last hope. As long as Mo Chuan showed her a bit of pity, she would be willing to die. Mo Chuan had no expression on his face as he silently waved his robe. Zhao Rong felt a strong force coming at her and she let go of his robe. Her beautiful eyes opened wide as she looked at Mo Chuan in a daze. She did not dare believe that Mo Chuan would mercilessly push her away at this time. Mo Chuan's eyes did not contain any emotions as he looked at her. Originally, he only saw Zhao Rong as a brother and sister. When he found out that she had returned to the capital, he felt happy in his heart. However, after he found out about all of her evil deeds, how she used every method possible to hire assassins, and how she colluded with assassins from the Purple Heaven Pavilion to harm the life of the girl he loved, the brotherly love he had for her had long disappeared. If it wasn't for Empress Zhou, he would have personally punished Zhao Rong Princess. How could he still hope for her? Filial piety is the most important of all virtues. Duke Ning's teachings are correct. Zhao Rong, you should listen to your father. Mo Chuan's words were like a bucket of ice water, pouring over Zhao Rong Princess' head. Her heart also turned cold. Mo Chuan's words were like a bucket of ice water, pouring over Zhao Rong Princess' head. Her heart also turned cold. Empress Dowager, please help Zhao Rong. Zhao Rong Princess immediately charged at Empress Dowager Zhou. This was her last hope. She believed that Empress Dowager Zhou would not disappoint her. Zhao Rong Princess immediately jumped at Empress Dowager Zhou. This was her last hope. She believed that Empress Dowager Zhou would not disappoint her. Chapter 1365. Zhao Rong, stand up, don't cry. Your father doesn't love you, your cousin doesn't love you, but this widow loves you. Empress Dowager Zhou reached out to pull Zhao Rong's princess up, letting her sit beside her. She stroked her hair and said, "This widow will take care of this matter for you." She raised her eyes and looked at Gu Qingze with an unkind gaze. Then she turned to Duke Ning and spoke in a serious tone. "Duke Ning, why did you hit Zhao Rong without asking clearly? Zhao Rong is just speaking her mind. What did she do wrong? She suspects that this divine doctor's medical skills are fake, but this is for your own good. From this widow's point of view, this divine doctor's medical skills are still open to question. Whether he is a real divine doctor or a fake liar, it is not something that can be determined with just his mouth." Duke Ning bowed and said, "The Empress Dowager is right, this minister was too impatient just now, but everyone has seen the divine doctor's medical skills." Before he could finish, Empress Dowager Zhou cut him off and impatiently said, "What he did just now doesn't count. If he really has the skill, then let him take this widow's pulse and tell him about this widow's illness. This widow's body is best known by the doctors in the yard, so let him confront the doctors at that time. Whether he is a divine doctor or a swindler, the truth will be revealed, so why do you need to waste so much words?" Her voice was filled with dissatisfaction. It was clear that she was even blaming Duke Ning. Seeing the red finger marks on Zhao Rong's face, she felt her heart ache. She couldn't help glaring at Duke Ning and saying, "You're a father. How could you do this to your daughter? Aren't you afraid of Zhao Rong's pain?" Duke Ning had an awkward expression. Of course he couldn't bear to slap his beloved daughter, but he was riding a tiger, so he had to slap Zhao Rong a few times to appease Gu Qingze's dissatisfaction. This was because he needed Gu Qingze to cure his strange illness, so how could he dare offend Gu Qingze? But how could he tell Empress Dowager Zhou about this tactful thought? When Zhao Rong heard Empress Dowager Zhou's words, she began to cry even more. She cried into Empress Dowager Zhou's arms, unable to raise her head. Empress Dowager Zhou stroked Zhao Rong's hair while looking at Gu Qingze. "Divine Dr. Gu, did you hear this widow's words? You have the guts to enter the palace, but you don't have the guts to take a look at this widow's pulse," she coldly said. She had controlled the harem for many years and was filled with momentum. Once her face sunk, the ministers all stopped breathing. No one dared to look at Empress Dowager Zhou's eyes and they all lowered their heads, not daring to take a deep breath. Gu Qingze calmly looked up at Empress Dowager Zhou. He did not reveal any fear because of the other side's aura and his expression was the same as usual. Empress Dowager Zhou saw this and admired this young man's courage. "All right, this commoner will take the Empress Dowager's pulse." Gu Qingze stood up from his chair and slowly walked to Empress Dowager Zhou's side. "When they Empress, Teet look, date. Zhao, him. Ru." Zhao Rong Princess gave a cold laugh in her heart. She looked up from Empress Dowager Zhou's embrace and glared at Gu Qingze with eyes filled with hatred, of you, Zhao, T, Zhao, am off Zhao. Dowager. T Wang of Zhou of ZT of Tu, shout, and, of Zhot. Chapter 1366. Duke Ning's face fell and he shouted, "Zhao Rong, don't be rude." If it wasn't for the fact that Zhao Rong was being protected by Empress Dowager Zhou, he would have charged over and slapped his daughter. Empress Dowager Zhou did not believe Gu Qingze's medical skills, but he did not doubt it at all. Before today, he and Gu Qingze had never met before, and the matter of him suffering from an unmentionable illness was something that no one else in this world knew about besides himself. However, Gu Qingze didn't feel his pulse, nor did he ask for a diagnosis, yet with a single glance, he was able to tell that he was suffering from an unmentionable illness. If this wasn't a divine doctor, then what was? Zhao Rong had Empress Dowager Zhou's support, so she was no longer afraid of her father. Her lips curled up. "Father, your daughter can't stand this swindler pretending to deceive people. Today, in front of the Emperor and the Empress Dowager, I will take off this divine doctor's mask." When she thought of the scene of Gu Qingze and Qin Ning together, her heart filled with hatred. The relationship between the two of them was not shallow, so if she slapped Gu Qing's face in front of everyone, it would be the same as slapping that little fox spirit's face. Duke Ning was filled with rage because of Zhao Rong, but there was nothing he could do. He thought that no matter what, he had hit his daughter in front of everyone, so that divine Dr. Gu would look at him. When he had a request, he wouldn't reject him, right? It was like Gu Qingzi did not hear Zhao Rong's taunting words at all. He looked at Empress Dowager Zhou for a while, first nodding, then shaking his head. Empress Dowager Zhou sat in the chair, not moving at all. It was like she did not see any of his expressions, but her eyes were like cold lightning as she looked at him. The Empress Dowager's illness, this commoner has already seen it. Gu Qingzi took a step back. Oh. Empress Dowager Zhou's brows jumped up and she said, "You really don't need to feel my pulse to see what illness this widow has?" Gu Qingzi softly replied, "Of course. If I didn't even have this bit of skill, the title of #1 divine doctor would not have fallen onto this commoner's head." His expression was calm, but the tone of his voice was shockingly loud. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone present sucked in a breath of cold air in unison. Chen Ning felt this was funny in her stomach. She was used to Gu Qing's strange temper, so no matter what he said or did, she would not be surprised at all. Very good, since Mr. Divine Doctor is this confident, Su Jin, immediately send someone to summon the doctors from the doctor yard. Also, bring this widow's medical history over. Empress Dowager Zhou turned to order Su Jin. Su Jin asked in a soft voice, "Is it Dr. Zhang?" Because in this period of time, Empress Dowager Zhou's body had been taken care of by Dr. Zhang, so he was very clear on Empress Dowager Zhou's condition. Empress Zhou said, "Empress Dowager Xiao is Xiao Xiao, is Xiao, Xiao is Xiao Su is. T Rong, T Su, Xiao Shout, T Long, T I Chu, and Su, Xiao, S Xiao, Yang, T T, Shout, Xiao Zhao Zhao." Not long after, Dr. Zhang and Dr. Hu came to the Qing'an Palace and bowed to Imo Chuan and Empress Dowager Zhou. "Two doctors, have you brought this widow's medical history?" Empress Dowager Zhou asked. Replying to Empress Dowager, "I have brought it. This box contains Empress Dowager's many years of medical history, not a single page is missing, not a single page is missing." Chapter 1367. Su Jin came forward to receive it. Opening the box, she took out a thick medical history book and handed it over to Empress Dowager Zhou. Empress Dowager Zhou flipped through a few pages and saw all the illnesses she had suffered over the years. From the date of the illness, the type of medicine she had taken, the method of treatment, and the effects after taking the medicine, it was all clearly recorded in small letters. It was clear that the doctor's doctor had paid a lot of attention to her body. She closed the medical history book and sighed with emotion in her heart. She said to Gu Qingzi, "Mr. Gu, this widow's medical history is here. If you can see what illness this widow has, just tell me." The hall suddenly became quiet. The ministers couldn't help but look at Gu Qingzi. Doubt, disbelief, contempt, and all sorts of other expressions appeared on their faces. This divine doctor surnamed Gu had boasted quite a bit. Now that the Empress Dowager had sent over the doctor's medical history, she wanted to see how he would defend himself and muddle his way through. It had to be known that the Empress Dowager had a pair of wise eyes, she would never rub sand in the sand. Chen Ning had a card up her sleeve. She looked at Gu Qingzi with a smile that wasn't a smile and then looked away without a trace. She understood Gu Qingzi too well, he never did anything he wasn't confident in. Since he dared to boast in front of everyone, it meant he had seen something. Gu Qingzi cleared his throat and calmly said, "Empress Dowager, not long ago, you were poisoned by a kind of flower poison. Because of this flower poison, you couldn't sleep peacefully and suffered from insomnia. This symptom lasted for about a year. Later, it might be because you drank the water made from the roots of this flower that the poison in your body was cured, but insomnia will still occasionally occur. Is what this commoner said correct? Hearing this, Su Jin's face fell and she involuntarily cried out, You! How did you know? As soon as she said this, she knew she had said something wrong. She quickly closed her mouth and looked down with a look of fear, but the surprise in her heart did not decrease at all. Empress Dowager Zhou had a look of ridicule in her eyes. She picked up the teacup and picked up the tea leaves floating on the surface. Hearing Gu Qing's words, her hand holding the teacup couldn't help trembling. But then she revealed a faint cold smile and looked over at Qin Ning. She was thinking, the matter of me being poisoned by this flower poison, only a few people know and this Qin Ning is one of them. She must have told this surnamed Gu about my situation, that's why this surnamed Gu's words aren't wrong. Qin Ning knew that Empress Dowager Zhou's matter was related to the royal family's secret and could not be leaked, so she had never told anyone before, not even half a word to Gu Qingze. Gu Qingze's words were accurate because he had observed Empress Dowager Zhou's expression. This kind of medical skill, even she couldn't help admiring it. However, the people in the main hall didn't know the reason. When they heard Gu Qingze's words and Su Jin's exclamation, they all revealed shocked expressions. Could it be that this hairless brat was right about the Empress Dowager's illness? Dowd, the Jin, Ning, the flower poison. Why didn't they know anything? Especially the two doctors who were confused. They looked at each other and said at the same time, nonsense, when has the Empress Dowager been poisoned by a flower poison? It's clearly nonsense. Chapter 1368. Empress Dowager Zhou raised her hand and stopped Dr. Tseng and Dr. Hu. She turned to Gu Qingze and said, You're half right about this matter. This widow is indeed suffering from insomnia, only. She paused and then said, This widow is not poisoned by any flower and everyone knows that this widow likes flowers. This widow's palace is filled with flowers that bloom all year round. Are you saying that the flowers in this widow's palace are poisonous flowers? She denied being poisoned by the spring jade flower and Mo Chuan knew the reason behind it. His lips were tightly shut and he did not say a word. Qin Ning's eyes sparkled as she guessed Empress Dowager Zhou's meaning. She did not want everyone to know about this matter and Empress Dowager Zhou already knew. Perhaps the person who sent the flowers to harm her was in the main hall today. Gu Qingze did not say a word and just looked at Empress Dowager Zhou without blinking, like he was trying to tell if she was telling the truth or lying. Because he believed in his own judgment, it was definitely not wrong. Only he did not understand why Empress Dowager Zhou was not willing to admit it. Empress Dowager Zhou was being looked at by his eyes, but her face did not turn red at all. She calmly said, Mr. Gu, what else have you seen? Gu Qingze softly said, the Empress Dowager's body did not have any major problems before. Other than insomnia, she would occasionally have a headache, be afraid of the cold, be numb to her hands and feet, be short of breath, get tired easily, be irritated easily, get angry easily, and have a bad appetite. Every time the seasons change, she would get a cold, but none of these are major problems. When he began, Empress Dowager Zhou was listening with a calm expression. Hearing this, the muscles at the corner of her eyes began to twitch and she almost couldn't sit still. Dr. Hu and Dr. Tsing's mouths were wide open, looking like their jaws were about to fall off. They knew Empress Dowager Zhou's body like the back of their hands. The problems Gu Qingze mentioned were all the same as what was recorded in medical history. The two of them had gone to Dr. Zhang's palace before and learned the #1 divine doctor's name, but the two of them never would have thought that Gu Qingze's medical skills would be this deep and profound. It simply made them sigh in amazement, leaving them in the dust. As long as the ministers saw the expressions of Empress Dowager Zhou and the other two doctors, they knew that Gu Qingze was right. They immediately let out a buzz of disbelief. The contempt, disdain, and doubt in their eyes were all swept away, and all that was left was shock and admiration. Duke Ning revealed a faint smile, unable to conceal the joy in his heart. The higher Gu Qing's medical skills were, the more he knew that he didn't choose the wrong person, and even more so, he didn't find the wrong person. Gu Qingze could definitely cure his hidden illness. Empress Dowager, he. Is what he said correct? Zhao Rong Junju still didn't dare believe that this country bumpkin really knew how to treat an illness. She didn't give up and asked. Empress Dowager Zhou slowly nodded. He is completely right. This widow does indeed have these illnesses, but these illnesses don't always flare up, so it is considered a serious illness. Emmer Yu, Dowager Li, Emmys Li, she, you Dowager Long Gu, I, you, I, R, I, you. Mr. Gu, these are all old illnesses. This widow wants to ask you, this widow's body was not well yesterday and even the doctor could not tell what illness this widow had. Can you tell me a thing or two? If you don't have the confidence, you can take a pulse for this widow. Chapter 1369. Gu Qingze said without any hesitation, what's so hard about this? There is no need to check your pulse at all. Empress Dowager, your eyes are blue, your lips are white, and your forehead is hot. You also feel cold all over and your stomach is aching at the same time. With this, Empress Dowager Zhou could not hide the shock in her eyes. She put down the teacup in her hand and nodded again, you're right. Chen Ning couldn't help looking at Imo Chuan, thinking that she had wronged Empress Dowager Zhou. It seems like Empress Dowager Zhou really was sick yesterday and she wasn't trying to find an excuse to keep Imo Chuan and Zhao Rong together. Imo Chuan's thoughts were the same as Chen Ning's. He thought that Empress Dowager Zhou was using her illness to keep him and call Zhao Rong into the palace to match him and Zhao Rong. Although he served Empress Dowager Zhou for an entire night, he did not say a single word to Zhao Rong. After Empress Dowager Zhou fell asleep, Zhao Rong took the chance to talk to him, but he ignored her. Hearing Gu Qingze's words, his heart filled with regret. He looked at Empress Dowager Zhou and said in a low voice, Mother. Empress Dowager Zhou understood his meaning. She patted his hand, but did not say anything. Divine Dr. Gu, what illness does the Empress Dowager have? Since you can see it, then you must have a way to cure my mother, right? Imo Chuan's heart was filled with guilt. He turned to Gu Qingze and spoke with a sincere expression. This was the first time he had put down his pride in front of Gu Qingze. Gu Qingze acted like he did not hear his words and did not even look at Imo Chuan. He thought about it and said, Empress Dowager, if you don't mind, this commoner wants to use acupuncture. Of course this widow doesn't mind. Empress Dowager Zhou nodded without any hesitation. After a night of sleep, not only did her illness not improve, it became even worse. Now her chest felt stuffy and her stomach was in pain. Only because today was Zhao Rong's birthday banquet, she forced herself to come to the banquet. However, her body was not well, so her expression was not good. In the eyes of others, they thought her temper was acting up and no one dared to breathe loudly. Gu Qingze took out a golden needle and started from Empress Dowager Zhou's index finger, slowly inserting it. It followed the meridians of the hand's minor heart meridian all the way up to the extreme spring meridian, inserting golden needles all the way. After the acupuncture, Empress Dowager Zhou felt a warm feeling in her stomach. The pain disappeared without a trace and she no longer felt cold. She couldn't help opening her eyes. Empress Dowager, what do you think? Gu asked. Comfortable, I feel very comfortable. My abdomen no longer hurts, but my forehead is still throbbing with pain. Her brows relaxed, and a smile appeared on her face. Although her forehead still hurt a little, it was much better than before when her entire body was in pain. Gu Qingzi did not say anything as he picked up 2 golden needles and pierced them into Empress Dowager Zhou's left and right temples. Then he gently twisted the needles. Really? Really? It doesn't hurt at all. Empress Dowager Zhou couldn't help closing her eyes and leaning back in her chair. Imperial Physician Hu and Imperial Physician Zheng looked at each other, both dumbfounded. Empress Dowager Zhou's body wasn't feeling well and she summoned the 2 of them into the palace, but after taking her pulse for a while, they couldn't find anything wrong with her. Empress Dowager Zhou was so angry that she kicked them out. Chapter 1370. Divine Dr. Gu, what kind of illness does this widow have? Is it serious? Empress Dowager Zhou had always called Gu Qingzi Mr. Gu, but now she called him Divine Dr. Gu. This showed that she had already recognized Gu Qingzi's medical skills and his status as a divine doctor. Gu Qingzi moved the needles while replying, "This is the night wind entering the body and the cold air is too heavy, it isn't a big problem." The Empress Dowager must have suddenly woken up from her sleep and was covered in a cold sweat. Then she opened the window and let the night wind in. Empress Dowager Zhou gave a surprised, "ah" sound as she revealed a shocked expression. She had been woken up by the loud noises from the palace. She came out of bed before putting on her clothes and walked to the window, looking out from the open window. The night wind was cold and she was covered in a thin layer of sweat. The wind felt very comfortable on her body and she unknowingly stood there for a long time. She never thought that she would fall ill because of this. Not bad, not bad. Divine Dr. Gu is not wrong at all. She was now confident in Gu Qingzi's medical skills because only she knew about the situation at that time. Even Su Jin wasn't by her side. After acupuncture, the Empress Dowager's illness will be cured. As for those old illnesses the Empress Dowager doesn't care about, it will take a bit of effort to cure them. Those old illnesses must have tortured the Empress Dowager for over 20 years, right? Gu Qingzi casually asked while applying the needles. Empress Dowager Zhou nodded. She looked at Gu Qingzi with sparkling eyes and saw that the other side had a calm expression. When he was treating her, he didn't seem panicked or nervous at all, nor was he at a loss. It was like he was treating a normal person. This kind of calm demeanor, it far surpassed the ministers and nobles of the court. She didn't like Gu Qingzi at all, but now she was more and more appreciative of his calm demeanor. Those old illnesses, it doesn't matter if they can be cured or not, this widow is already used to it. Empress Dowager Zhou revealed a faint smile. She was most clear on her old illnesses. Since this commoner can see the Empress Dowager's illness, then I have a way to cure it. The Empress Dowager doesn't need to worry, I will give you a prescription. As long as you follow the prescription, your old illnesses will be cured. After Gu Qingzi finished applying the needles, he took a step back and slowly said this. Empress Dowager Zhou looked at him in disbelief, really? Gu Qingzi didn't answer. He said to the little supervisor beside him, bring me a pen and paper. The little eunuch hurriedly ran to fetch the brush, ink, paper and inkstone. He now knew that Gu Qingzi was an important personage that even the Empress Dowager attached great importance to, so his attitude was very respectful as he presented them with both hands. Gu Qingzi waved his brush and wrote a prescription. He looked at Imperial Physician Zheng and Imperial Physician Zhou and said, Imperial Physicians, do you want to check if this prescription can be used? Although this was the first time he was treating a member of the royal family, he knew that the royal family had a rule of testing medicine. As long as it was something that entered the mouth, it had to be tested for poison before it could be consumed. Yes, yes. The 2 imperial physicians were pleasantly surprised and quickly reached out to take it. They had never dreamed that they would be able to see the prescription written by the #1 genius doctor. In particular, Divine Dr. Gu actually said that after the Empress Dowager took the medicine according to the prescription, the old illness that had tortured her body for many years could be cured. This was simply incredible. Such a prescription must be carefully studied. Chapter 1371. This prescription is very good. There's no problem at all. The two doctors said at the same time. Because the patient was Empress Dowager Zhou, Gu Qingze only used a few gentle herbs. This way the effects wouldn't be as fast, but if it was taken for a long time, it could eliminate all of Empress Dowager Zhou's old illnesses. Since the two doctors say there's no problem, then this widow will take this medicine. Empress Dowager Zhou slapped the table and said, "Go and boil some medicine for this widow now." The two imperial physicians agreed in unison. They held the prescription like they were holding a rare treasure and quickly went to brew the medicine. Zhao Rong Princess bit her lips, almost not daring to believe what had just happened. Not long ago, the Empress Dowager was questioning Gu Qingze like she was, but in the blink of an eye, the Empress Dowager's attitude had completely changed. She still wanted to take this country bumpkin's medicine. Moreover, this was a banquet for her birthday, but once this country bumpkin Gu Qingze appeared, all the limelight, all the glory, and everyone else's gazes were all attracted by him. She wanted to complain to Empress Dowager Zhou, but after Gu Qingze gave Empress Dowager Zhou acupuncture, Empress Dowager Zhou closed her eyes to rest, so she didn't dare disturb her. Very soon, two imperial physicians came back with a bowl of steaming hot medicine that had just been brewed. Zhao Rong Princess' eyes lit up and she immediately said, "Empress Dowager, the medicine is ready. Zhao Rong wants to personally test it for you." Empress Dowager Zhou opened her eyes and said with a faint smile, "There's no need to test it, this widow believes in the ancient divine doctor's prescription." Zhao Rong Princess did not give up, "Empress Dowager, just let Zhao Rong try it. It's said that you can know a person's face but not their heart, who knows what kind of heart this country bumpkin has." Zhao Rong. Don't speak nonsense. The one scolding her this time was not Duke Ning, but rather Empress Dowager Zhou. Zhao Rong Princess was shocked. Seeing Empress Dowager Zhou's serious expression, she did not dare say anything else. "Bring the medicine over, this widow wants to take it now." Empress Dowager Zhou did not doubt Gu Qingze's medical skills at all and she did not doubt his character at all. Gu Qingze took the bowl of medicine and gave it to Empress Dowager Zhou. "This medicine is very bitter, but good medicine is good for illness. Empress Dowager, you don't have to be afraid of bitterness. It's best to drink it in one go, and you'll see the effect very quickly." Empress Dowager Zhou said with a nod, "This widow has suffered many hardships over the years, what does this bit count for?" She picked up the bowl of medicine and drank it all in one gulp, not even making it a bit. Su Jin quickly gave her a cup of tea to rinse her mouth, but she was also rejected by Empress Dowager Zhou. For a moment, the hall was very quiet. Everyone was looking at Empress Dowager Zhou, wanting to know what effect she would have after taking the medicine. Su Jin's expression was very nervous. Her hands were clenched and her palms were covered in sweat, afraid that Empress Dowager Zhou would feel uncomfortable. "Empress Dowager, do you feel uncomfortable anywhere?" she asked in a soft voice. Empress Dowager Zhou did not say anything. Empress, after a while, Empress Dowager Zhou's expression became more and more relaxed. Her lips slightly curled up, revealing a faint smile. After a while, she began to snore softly. No one would have thought that the usually dignified Empress Dowager Zhou would actually fall asleep in front of everyone at the banquet. Chapter 1372. Su Jin saw the smile on Empress Dowager Zhou's face and her eyes filled with tears of excitement. She kept wiping her tears with a handkerchief. Only she knew how much pain and torture Empress Dowager Zhou had suffered. In the hall, everyone let out a sigh of relief. Empress Dowager Zhou's condition was improving and they all felt better. There was only one person who was filled with hatred in her heart, almost grinding her teeth to pieces. She was Zhao Rong Regent Princess. The fingernails hidden in her sleeves dug deep into her palms. She never thought that Empress Dowager Zhou would actually fall asleep. Now everyone was treating that country bumpkin Gu Qingze like a god. Thinking that he was with that little fox spirit Qin Ning, she was filled with hatred. Don't worry, don't worry. Empress Dowager. Empress Dowager. Zhao Rong couldn't help coming forward, wanting to wake Empress Dowager Zhou up. If Empress Dowager Zhou continued to sleep like this, if someone bullied her, who would help her? Now, even her father, Duke Ning, was wholeheartedly trying to please that country bumpkin. Shoo! Regent Princess, don't wake the Empress Dowager. The Empress Dowager hasn't had a good night's sleep in a long time. Su Jin said in a soft voice, but she gave Zhao Rong Regent Princess a warning look, looking very dissatisfied. Zhao Rong Regent Princess hatefully thought, humph, now even a servant dares to order me around, not putting me in her eyes at all. The ministers in the hall looked at each other, not daring to breathe loudly. They all had very awkward expressions on their faces. This was the birthday banquet Empress Dowager Zhou had specially prepared for Zhao Rong Regent Princess, but before the banquet even started, Empress Dowager Zhou had already fallen asleep. Should this banquet continue or not? Everyone looked around and finally looked at Mo Chuan. Mo Chuan looked at Empress Dowager Zhou's calm sleeping face and his heart fell like a stone. Although Gu Qingze had hit a nail on his head before, he was filled with deep gratitude towards Gu Qingze. Not for anything else, just treating the illness that had plagued his mother for so long was enough for him to be grateful for a lifetime. Only he knew that if he went to ask Gu Qingze, the other side would continue to hit a nail on his head. In front of all the ministers, he would lose the emperor's face. So he gave Qin Ning a meaningful look and then slightly gestured to Gu Qingze with his lips, indicating for her to ask. Qin Ning understood his meaning. She thought that if she asked him, perhaps she would be rebuffed, but it was better than letting Mo Chuan be rebuffed. She asked softly, Dr. Gu, how long will the Empress Dowager sleep? In front of outsiders, it was inconvenient for her to call him master. However, Gu Qingze raised his eyes and fiercely glared at her. It was obvious that his anger towards her had not subsided. Qin Ning secretly stuck out her tongue. She heard Gu Qingze coldly say, this medicine has sleeping properties, so the Empress Dowager needs to sleep for at least 12 hours. You don't need to worry about waking the Empress Dowager up. Right now, even thunder won't wake her up. I suggest that you send the Empress Dowager back to her palace, that way she can sleep more peacefully. Mo Chuan immediately ordered, someone, quickly bring a soft sedan over. Very quickly, the little eunuchs brought over a soft sedan. Mo Chuan personally picked up Empress Dowager Zhou and carefully placed her in the sedan, sending people back to the peaceful life palace. Su Jin was worried about Empress Dowager Zhou, so she also went. Chapter 1373. This young man's luck was just too good. As soon as he entered the palace, he showed off his skills in front of the Empress Dowager. If his medicine was effective and could cure the Empress Dowager's illness, then his future would be limitless. If he could curry favor with this great god, not only could he have the divine doctor cure his illness, he could also borrow his strength to enter the Empress Dowager's eyes. Entering the Empress Dowager's eyes was the same as entering the Emperor's eyes. His meteoric rise was just around the corner. Everyone had the same thought. Everyone immediately surrounded Gu Qingze. Mr. Divine Doctor's medical skills, it really is an eye-opener. It's rare in the heavens and hard to find on earth. The name of the Divine Doctor, it really is well-deserved. This time, everyone's praises came from their hearts and their tone was sincere. It was completely different from the previous flattery. But Gu Qingze acted like he did not hear them at all. He ignored everyone and pointed at Qin Ning as he said, the chair. Everyone was dumbfounded, not knowing what he meant. Chen Ning pursed her lips into a smile. She walked over and pushed the special chair in front of him and said, "Divine Dr. Gu, please sit." The ministers finally understood and they couldn't help secretly clicking their tongues. They thought that this young man was really bold, actually daring to order the Empress to do things for him. The divine doctor really was a divine doctor. His face was really big. Gu Qingze sat back down in his chair and did not even look at Chen Ning. He returned to his seat and picked up a cup of fruit juice, drinking it as if there was no one else present. Chen Ning knew that he had a strange temper, but she was not angry. With a faint smile, she returned to her seat. The Heartwarming princess looked at this scene with a suspicious gaze, feeling a little confused. Aren't these two people in cahoots? Why did this country bumpkin not have a friendly attitude towards the little fox spirit? Not only did he speak in a bad tone, he even ordered her to do things in front of all these ministers. It was clear that he did not put her, the Empress, in his eyes. A look of joy flashed in her eyes. Her master had once said that the enemy of my enemy is my friend. This divine Dr. Gu had clearly fallen out with Chen Ning, so why didn't she take this chance to win him over and deal with that little fox spirit? She opened her small mouth and revealed a sweet smile. She walked in front of Duke Ning and sweetly said, "Father, your daughter knows her wrongs. I was rude and offended the divine Dr. Gu. Your daughter is willing to apologize to the divine Dr. Gu." Duke Ning was surprised and looked at her. "Xiaorong, do you really know your wrongs? You're willing to apologize to the divine doctor?" He knew that this daughter of his was arrogant and stubborn. Once she set her mind on something, she would do it her own way without any hesitation. Now that she was willing to put down her identity and apologize to others, it was really unbelievable. "Father, I also have a pair of eyes, and I can see it clearly. The ancient godly doctor is truly worthy of his reputation. I said something wrong, so of course I have to apologize to the godly doctor." Xiaorong Juanju's face was slightly red. She tugged at Duke Ning's sleeve and shook it like a little girl. Duke Ning laughed and said, "All right, then father will take you to the divine doctor to apologize." He pulled the Heartwarming princess' hand and walked in front of Gu Qingze. He laughed and said, "Divine Dr. Gu, my daughter knows her wrongs and has come to apologize to the divine doctor. I hope the divine doctor can be magnanimous and forgive this little girl." Chapter 1374. Xiaorong Junju was born to be high and mighty and was used to bossing people around. Even though she was apologizing right now, her demeanor and actions still made it seem like a Junju was a cut above others. Duke Ning saw this and couldn't help knitting his brows. He wanted to scold her a few times, but thinking about it, his daughter was very proud, so it wasn't easy for her to say these words. At least she wasn't targeting the divine Dr. Gu or saying anything bad to him, so he was already thanking the heavens. Gu Qingze did not seem to care about the Heartwarming princess's insincere apology. "Sir Duke, today is your daughter's birthday, this commoner can't come empty-handed. Here is a snow silk robe, if your daughter doesn't mind, you can give it to her as a gift." After he said this, he took out the snow silk robe and placed it in front of Duke Ning. "What? Snow silk robe?" Duke Ning was shocked as he looked at the ordinary-looking gray robe. His hands trembled as he received it. It was light and soft, as if it was nothing. He had seen many things, so he knew that the snow silk robe could not be damaged by swords or water. It could be considered a treasure of the heavens and earth, but this kind of legendary item could only be found by luck. Even with his wealth, he couldn't obtain a snow silk robe even if he sold his entire family's fortune. Now Gu Qingze had casually given it to him. It was hard for him to believe this was real. "Gu, divine Dr. Gu, is this really the snow silk robe?" Duke Ning's voice was trembling from excitement. The Heartwarming princess looked at the robe in his hand with disdain. It was gray without any luster. If she wore it, she would look like a gray crow, so she didn't care about it at all. What snow silk robe? She had never heard of it before. If she didn't want to win over Guqingze, she would have already thrown this tattered robe back at his face. Father, what is this snow silk robe? Is it very good? She curled her lips and asked in an uncaring voice. Duke Ning's excitement could be seen on his face. Silly girl, this snow silk robe is a treasure of the heavens and the divine Dr. Gu has given you such a precious gift. Why haven't you thanked the divine doctor yet? Divine doctor, thank you for giving me this gift. After the Zhao Rong princess said this, she raised her chin and looked at Chen Ning with a proud gaze. This was because she saw Chen Ning staring at the snow silk robe without blinking. Although she did not know what was so good about it, the little fox spirit cared so much about it, and this robe was given to her by the divine Dr. Gu, so she was very proud. Chen Ning bit her lips and looked away, not saying a single word. She had already recognized that this snow silk robe was the one that Guqingze had given her yesterday. She felt that it was too precious to accept, so Guqingze had taken it back in a fit of anger and threatened to give it to someone else. Could it be that he had already planned to give this snow silk robe to Zhao Rong region princess as a congratulatory gift? She had always thought that Guqingze's anger towards her would dissipate soon. She never would have thought that in a fit of anger, he would give that incomparably precious snow silk robe to Zhao Rong Junju, who had always been against her. If she knew this, she would have taken it without any hesitation. Zhao Rong, why aren't you wearing this snow silk robe yet? You have to remember the divine Dr. Gu's feelings for you. Duke Ning had a happy expression on his face. The Zhao Rong princess looked at the normal robe in her hand and her heart was filled with unwillingness. Chapter 1375. Silly girl, you don't know just how magical this robe is. Duke Ning glared at Zhao Rong Junju with dissatisfaction and took the snow silk robe from her hands. He put the robe on his left arm and called in a guard who was guarding the door. He pulled out a knife from his waist, and with a flash of the knife, he chopped down on his left arm. Ah! Father! What are you doing? Sir Duke! The Zhao Rong princess and the ministers all cried out in surprise. Although Zhao Rong had martial arts, Duke Ding's speed was just too fast. She was scared silly, and when she reacted, Duke Ning's blade had already chopped down. She closed her eyes, thinking that her father's arm would be cut in half by this blade. Then she heard Duke Ding's happy laughter ring out. Ha ha ha, it really is a treasure that even swords can't cut. The Zhao Rong princess opened her eyes and saw that Duke Ning's left arm was perfectly fine, without a single wound on it. There wasn't even a single mark on the snow silk robe. This really is a good treasure. A treasure of the heavens and earth, it really is a treasure of the heavens and earth. The court officials surrounded Duke Dinghua, all envious and full of praise. They were simply envious of Duke Ding's good luck and even more envious of the Zhao Rong princess. How did the two of them enter the eyes of the divine Dr. Gu, giving them this kind of treasure without even blinking? Don't look at how the divine Dr. Gu didn't have an official position, but the gift he gave was something that all of their gifts added together couldn't compare to. The Zhao Rong princess was pleasantly surprised. She quickly took the snow silk robe from her father's hands and lovingly stroked it. Divine Dr. Gu, thank you for your gift. This princess really likes this robe. She smiled from ear to ear. Ever since she entered the palace, Guqingze had not looked at her. He finally looked up at this time and revealed a smile that wasn't a smile as he looked at her. It's good as long as the princess doesn't despise my poor gift. I don't despise it, of course this princess doesn't despise it. The Zhao Rong princess smiled as she held the snow silk robe, coming in front of Mo Chuan like she was presenting a treasure. Cousin, look at this treasure that the divine Dr. Gu gave me. What are you giving me as a birthday present? Mo Chuan coldly said, now that you have this treasure, how could you care about other people's gifts? You won't care about anything this one gives you, so you should just forget about it. Zhao Rong pouted when she heard this. She stamped her foot and said, Cousin, no matter how good the gift others give me, it can't compare to what you gave me. Even if you gave me a blade of grass, I would still treat it as a treasure. Very good. Someone, go to the yard outside and cut some grass. We'll give it to the Zhao Rong princess as a gift. Mo Chuan had an expressionless face as he pushed the boat with the current. Princess Zhao Rong's face immediately turned green. Xiao Ru, who was standing behind Chen Ning, couldn't help laughing. The Zhao Rong princess was filled with rage, but she couldn't take it out on Mo Chuan. Hearing Xiao Ru's laughter, it was like a bomb had been ignited and she was instantly filled with rage. You lowly servant girl, how dare you sneer at me when I'm talking to my cousin, the Emperor? King! Today, I will teach you a lesson on behalf of your master, you unruly servant. Her right hand touched her waist and a snake-like whip flew out, slashing at Xiao Ru's face. This whip was fast and fast. As long as it hit, Xiao Ru's face would be split open. Chapter 1376. Zhao Rong, you can't use weapons in front of the Emperor. Duke Ning scolded her, but Zhao Rong Junju ignored him. The whip in her hand did not stop as it looked like Xiao Ru was about to bleed. Mo Chuan knit his brows and reached out with his right hand, grabbing the tip of the whip. With a gentle shake, the whip broke into pieces and fell to the ground. You're still casually hurting people today. Do you really think this one's words are nothing? Mo Chuan's voice was very stern. Zhao Rong's heart skipped a beat as she looked at Mo Chuan in a daze. She felt that her royal cousin had suddenly become very strange and she did not recognize him at all. He was not the cold and silent cousin from her memories, but he was very gentle to her. Cousin, you don't love Rong anymore. You don't love Rong anymore. You're actually speaking to Rong like this for a servant. Her tears came out as she ran in front of Duke Ning and threw herself into his embrace. She cried and said, Father, cousin is bullying Rong. Duke Ning pushed her away with a frown and shouted, This is a public place, don't cause trouble. What happened just now was clearly your fault. This servant did something wrong, so her master will teach her a lesson. It's not your turn to make a move. Why are you crying like this? You're letting people laugh at you for nothing. Why aren't you apologizing to the Emperor? Everyone could hear his indirect words. He was scolding his daughter on the surface, but he was secretly ridiculing Chen Ning as the Empress for not teaching a servant. Chen Ning just revealed a faint smile and pretended not to hear it. There was a saying that picking gold and silver was called a scolding. She would not rush to pick up this kind of trash. Xiao Ru, come here. She pulled Xiao Ru's hand and took off a jade bracelet from her wrist, putting it on Xiao Ru's hand. Young miss, this. What is this? Xiao Ru stuttered, still not recovering from the fright. Jade can ward off evil. Wearing it on your body can ward off evil. In the future, any evil and dirty things will stay far away from you. Ah, this is too precious, this servant can't take it. Xiao Ru was shocked and quickly took it off. This is something this princess is giving you. Who do you think this princess is, taking back things that have been given out? If you don't want it, this princess will smash it. I'd rather be a jade than let it fall into someone else's hands. Chen Ning said with a gentle expression. Although she did not look at Gu Qingze at all, her words were spoken to Chen Ning's words. Seeing that Gu Qingze had actually given the snow silk robe that he had prepared for her to Zhao Rong Junju, it would be a lie to say that she wasn't angry. She wasn't made of mud. Even if she was made of mud, she still had a rustic temperament. To think that he had called him master for so long. Humph, such a master, it was better not to have him. Chin shao shao chin of chin. He didn't shao shao chin, he chin of shao shao of chin chin, chin 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 chin. Chin of the words. He t say, the chin of chin shao, he of his face. There were ministers who tried to curry favor with him, but he pretended not to hear them and did not even lift his eyelids. Zhao Rong Princess and Duke Ning were both quite angered by Qin Ning's actions. Even Duke Ning couldn't help raising his brows and looking at her with an unkind expression. Only he cared about his status, so he couldn't show his anger in front of everyone. Especially in front of Imo Chuan, he could only say a few words of ridicule. Chapter 1377. Chen Ning looked up at him and revealed a faint smile. She is one of this queen's people, so this queen will naturally treat her well. What's wrong with that? For example, your beloved daughter. Didn't the High Duke also love her dearly? No matter what she does wrong, the Duke will always take care of her. Duke Ning was stunned and could not reply. His heart was filled with hate. This stinky girl's mouth is really strong. When the princess heard that Qin Ning was comparing her to Xiao Ru, she was filled with anger and shouted, "What kind of thing is she? She's just a servant. This princess is a noble princess, how could she be compared to her?" Qin Ning did not even look at her. She turned to the servant beside her and said, "Where is the grass the emperor ordered you to cut? Why hasn't it been sent yet? That is the birthday gift the emperor gave to Zhao Rong Princess, how could you not take care of it?" As soon as her voice fell, a strange chi sound came from the main hall. The ministers in the hall were filled with joy, but no one dared to laugh out loud, so they could only forcefully hold it in. Xiao Ru let out a ha laugh. She quickly used her hand to cover her mouth as her large eyes rolled around. "Young miss, this servant shouldn't laugh," she said in a low voice. Chen Ning giggled and said, "Laugh when you should, you'll be 10 years younger if you laugh more. You'll become more and more beautiful if you laugh more and more. Don't be like a toad that only knows how to puff. Puff and puff, perhaps your stomach will explode from anger." Zhao Rong Princess' stomach was about to explode from anger. Her cheeks kept puffing and her hands were clenched into fists as she glared at Qin Ning. When the ministers saw this, they found that she really did look like an angry toad. Some people couldn't help laughing, but because of Duke Ning's face, they could only bend down and hold their stomachs. They pretended to drop their spoons, chopsticks, and handkerchiefs as they hid under the table to laugh. You little slut." Zhao Rong Princess could no longer hold back her anger. She pointed at Qin Ning and was about to curse. "Zhao Rong!" Duke Ning gave a sharp shout and stopped her. He calmly said, "The ancient divine doctor gave you the snow silk robe, why aren't you going to wear it? You have this kind of precious treasure and you're still not satisfied. Father! Why are you stopping your daughter?" The Zhao Rong Princess stared at Qin Ning, wishing her eyes could pierce a hole through the other side's face. The joy she felt from obtaining the snow silk robe had completely disappeared, it had been completely destroyed by Qin Ning. "Be obedient and wear it. Even the Empress doesn't have this kind of treasure, but you can get it. Isn't this a great matter?" Duke Ning looked at his precious daughter with a look of disappointment. If she wanted to find the Empress, there would be many ways. If she wanted the Empress, why would she want the Empress? Wouldn't she just be humiliating herself? This was because he found that Imo Chuan was already very impatient with his daughter. Now that Empress Dowager Zhou wasn't here and there was no one to support his daughter, if she angered the emperor, his daughter wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. At that time, even his father as a duke wouldn't be able to protect her. Hearing this, Zhao Rong's anger immediately turned into joy. She held the snow silk robe and looked at Qin Ning with a proud expression. She was accompanied by a maid to the back hall to change clothes. Qin Ning's eyes flashed slightly. She couldn't help but look at Gu Qingze. There was a bit of resentment in her heart. Chapter 1378. Right now, she was suspecting whether she had acknowledged a fake master. A hand suddenly reached out and grabbed her hand. The palm was warm and strong. It was Mo Chuan. Like he had seen through her thoughts, Mo Chuan revealed a faint smile to her. Ning, just tell me what you want. Even if it's the stars in the sky, I'll pick them for you. If you like the snow silk robe, I can also give it to you. Although he didn't know what Gu Qingze meant by giving the snow silk robe to Zhao Rong, he didn't want to see that kind of depressed expression on Chen Ning's face. Wasn't it just a snow silk robe? As long as she liked it, he would find a way to give it to her. Chen Ning's heart was filled with warmth. She looked at Mo Chuan and said with a smile, I don't care about the snow silk robe. You've already given me the most precious treasure in the world and I like it very much and am very satisfied with it. I will keep it safe and keep it by my side forever. The most precious treasure. Mo Chuan was stunned. He thought that although he had spent a lot of effort to decorate the Guan Osprey Palace and had personally chosen everything for her, there wasn't a single thing that could compare to the snow silk robe's value. What is it? He asked. Her eyes sparkled and she revealed a smile, your heart. His heart to her was the most precious treasure in the world. What snow silk robe, compared to Mo Chuan's deep love for her, it was simply too weak. She suddenly felt that she was very happy right now, especially when she saw Mo Chuan's expression towards Zhao Rong. She knew that no matter how much effort Zhao Rong put in, it would all be useless. In Mo Chuan's eyes, there would always be only her. The two of them looked at each other like there was no one else around. It was like everyone else in the hall had turned into the background and there was only the two of them at this moment. When Xiao Tao saw this, she was filled with joy and envy as her lips curled up. Although Duke Ning's expression didn't show any difference, his eyes revealed a strange light. Cousin. Zhao Rong changed into the snow silk robe and ran out of the back hall with a happy expression. She saw Mo Chuan and Chen Ning holding hands as they looked at each other and the expression on her face turned ugly. Mo Chuan held Chen Ning's hand and said in a soft voice, we'll talk after the banquet ends and we return to the palace. He reluctantly let go of her hand. If it wasn't for the sake of Duke Ning's face, he wouldn't have wanted to stay at this boring banquet any longer. There's no rush, our days are still long. Chen Ning gently smiled at him. Zhao Rong Junju heard the laughter and conversation between the two. Her heart felt like it was being squeezed by a hand. It hurt so much that the muscles on her face twisted. She really was filled with hatred. She didn't hate her cousin, but she hated that little bitch. Just because she was a bit pretty, she actually dared to flirt with her cousin in public, seducing him. Humph, Chen Ning, just wait. Zhao Rong, you've changed into the snow silk robe. Duke Ning held his daughter's hand and looked her up and down. He found that she was still wearing that beautiful robe and he couldn't help slightly frowning. Chapter 1379. Zhao Rong Princess raised her chin and purposely raised her voice for Chen Ning to hear. Only this kind of child's play could not arouse Chen Ning's jealousy at all. She just revealed a faint smile and said to Mo Chuan, it's getting late, we can start the banquet. Mo Chuan nodded and clapped his hands. The eunuchs and maids immediately brought out the wine and food. Empress Dowager Zhou wanted to show her favor to Zhao Rong Princess, so she wanted to make this birthday banquet as grand and lively as possible. She spent a lot of effort and prepared all the rare delicacies that were very delicious. Everyone was filled with praise as they ate. She had Su Jin prepare some songs and dances, but Su Jin had returned to the peaceful life palace with Empress Dowager Zhou. Those beautifully dressed singers and dancers were waiting in the side hall, but no one had asked them to perform. In the peaceful Peace Palace, the ministers were all in high spirits, but only Zhao Rong Princess did not have a happy expression. She was sulking as she sat there. There was an endless stream of people coming to toast Duke Ning and her. Each minister had carefully prepared a gift, but among all of them, Mo Chuan was not there. She did not have the heart to deal with these bearded ministers at all. Her eyes did not leave Mo Chuan at all. But Mo Chuan did not look at her at all. He sat next to Qin Ning, and on her table were the dishes he had ordered the royal kitchen to prepare for her. They were all her favorite flavors, and he did not even care about the eyes of the people around him as he continued to serve her food. As the two of them ate, they looked at each other and smiled. The tenderness and sweetness between their brows was clearly reflected in their eyes. Zhao Rong Princess' eyes seemed like they were about to spit out flames. Even if a dragon's liver and phoenix's gallbladder were placed in front of her, she wouldn't be able to eat a single bite. Paw! She slammed the jade chopsticks in her hand onto the table and suddenly stood up. Zhao Rong, what are you doing? You can't be rude in this kind of situation. Why aren't you sitting down? Although Duke Ning was chatting with the ministers, he was still looking at his daughter from the corner of his eyes. Seeing her staring at Qin Ning with eyes filled with flames, he was afraid she would cause trouble, so he quickly stopped her. Father, your daughter just wants to toast the Emperor and Empress a cup of wine. You old people wouldn't even stop your daughter for this, right? Zhao Rong Princess opened her mouth and revealed a smile. The anger and hatred in her eyes were quickly concealed without a trace. She picked up the wine jug and poured a cup of wine, holding it in her hand. Duke Ning looked at her with a suspicious gaze. You, Ning Qing, are you going to toast? Rong King Qing, Ning Qing, Princess, Ning Qing, said. Zhao Rong Qing, Ning, and said, Qing Long, King, of, King, Qing, King, Father, From the first time she saw Qin Ning, she noticed that the other side was wearing a dress that was as beautiful as a flowing cloud. This was something she had spent a lot of effort to get her hands on. She was planning on wearing it to shock everyone at the banquet, but in order to achieve her goal, she had to reluctantly give it up. She had a spy in Guan Osprey Palace to put it in Qin Ning's suitcase. Chapter 1380. The bag that the thousand-faced young master gave her had two kinds of powders, one was thorn mustard grass and the other was cat mint. There was even a detailed description of the uses of the two powders. As long as the two powders were mixed together, there would be a strange reaction that would release a special smell. This smell could not be felt by normal people, but it had a very strong effect. It was enough to make a cat go crazy after smelling it. Cats had a very sensitive sense of smell, so the amount of powder in these two small bags was enough to make all the cats within 10 miles rush over. At that time, the scene would be very interesting, very, very interesting. After you finish the toast, immediately come back, do you hear me? Duke Ning was not assured, so he once again warned his daughter. Zhao Rong Princess nodded with a smile. She had already secretly taken out the thorn mustard grass powder from her chest and hid it in her pinky. She picked up the wine cup and her skirt swayed as she walked over to Mo Chuan and Qin Ning. She stopped in front of Mo Chuan. Cousin, we haven't seen each other in 3 years, and after you saw Rong, you didn't welcome Rong, at all. You really made Rong sad. Today is Rong's birthday and you're not even going to say a word of congratulations to Rong, she softly said. Her voice was filled with resentment and her eyes were filled with grievance, making her look very delicate and pitiful. Although Qin Ning did not pay attention to her, she looked over from the corner of her eyes. Seeing her little white flower appearance, she couldn't help shaking her head. Her acting was too bad. If it was in the modern era, she wouldn't even be able to get a small role. With this kind of acting, did she want to trick Mo Chuan? The coldness in Emo Chuan's eyes was even colder than a glacier. He was already extremely impatient with the Zhao Rong princess. Zhao Rong, seeing that we grew up together, this one will give you a present today. Really? The Zhao Rong princess was surprised and happy. Her eyes quickly lit up. I'll give you 4 words, take care of yourself. Emo Chuan said word for word. Cousin. The light in the Zhao Rong princess' eyes dimmed. She bit her lips and swallowed the tears that were already in her eyes back down. I know I've done many wrong things, I'll change in the future. I won't let you hate me. If you can do what you say, then you will still be this one's cousin. Otherwise, I won't even leave this last bit of affection. Emo Chuan's words were cold and emotionless, filling the Zhao Rong princess' heart with extreme hate. However, the person she hated was not Emo Chuan, but rather Qin Ning. She lowered her eyes to hide the hatred in her eyes. She pouted and said, Rong knows. Cousin, Rong knows that I did wrong before, so I specially came to apologize to the Empress. Rong is young and has offended you. I hope that you can forgive Rong Queen. When Zhao Rong princess raised her head, she had a smile on her face. She looked at Qin Ning with an apologetic expression. If the Empress is willing to forgive Rong, then drink this cup of wine from Rong. She was only a step away from Qin Ning and could already smell the faint scent of catnip coming from Qin Ning's body. Her eyes couldn't help flashing a look of success. Qin Ning revealed a faint smile and slowly raised her wine cup. The princess is too polite. Let's forget about the past, this princess will not take it to heart. That's great. This cup of wine is for the Empress. I'll drink it first. Chapter 1381. Qin Ning brought the wine cup to her lips with a faint smile. Suddenly Zhao Rong princess called out, "I-oh." She held her forehead and her body swayed. She couldn't stand still and fell over towards Qin Ning. Qin Ning reached out to support her and Zhao Rong stabilized herself. She said in an apologetic voice, Empress, Rong drank too much and almost fell over. It was a good thing that the Empress helped me. She waved her long sleeve and the pinky of her right hand that was hidden in her sleeve flicked out. The powder in her fingernail fell into Qin Ning's wine cup without anyone noticing. Even Emo Chuan did not notice her small movements. Qin Ning said with a smile, the princess has a low tolerance for alcohol, so it's best if you drink less of this wine in the future. Although she did not see what Zhao Rong princess had done, she didn't need to think to know that the other side had drugged her wine cup. Zhao Rong princess patted her chest and revealed an innocent look, the Empress' teachings are correct. Whatever the Empress says in the future, Rong will listen to it. She saw that Qin Ning was holding the wine cup, not drinking it. Her heart couldn't help feeling anxious as she pouted. The Empress is not drinking Rong's wine. Could it be that you are not willing to forgive Rong's previous actions? Or is the Empress suspecting that Rong has done something to the wine? If the Empress doesn't believe Rong is willing to personally test the wine for the Empress. She picked up the wine jug on Qin Ning's table and began to drink it. After a few mouthfuls, her cheeks turned into peach blossoms, turning into a bright red. Empress, do you still not believe in Rong's sincerity? Her eyes were filled with tears, looking very pitiful. Qin Ning saw her performance and thought that she was really clumsy. She didn't even say that she suspected the wine was poisoned, but she couldn't hold herself back and said it. She raised the cup with a faint smile and slowly drank the wine. Then she showed the empty cup to Zhao Rong princess. I will accept your highness's kind intentions, she said with a double meaning. Zhao Rong princess saw that she had drunk the mustard powder wine and a large stone in her heart fell to the ground. She revealed a smile on her face and thought that before long, there would be a good show to watch. She revealed a proud smile and pricked up her ears to listen. She wanted to hear the cute meows of the cats. Not long after, all the cats in a 10-mile radius would be attracted by the smell and they would charge at Chin-Ning like crazy. Those sharp cat claws would tear her clothes to pieces and her pretty little face would no longer exist in the future. Humph, even the royal cousin wouldn't be able to save you. Zhao Rong Junju was feeling pleased with herself when she suddenly felt an itch on her back. She thought nothing of it. Vaguely, she seemed to hear the meowing of a cat, but when she listened carefully, she couldn't hear it. What was going on? Why hadn't Kitty appeared yet? For today's feast, in order to successfully complete the plan, she had specially sent people to capture stray cats all over the city. She had caught hundreds of them and placed them near the imperial city. Calculating the time, these cats should have smelled the scent and rushed into the imperial palace. Princess, your face is very red, is it because you're drunk? Why don't you go back and rest? Xiao Ru, quickly give the princess some hangover soup. Chen Ning gave this order to Xiao Ru with a faint smile. She did not ignore the anxiety that flashed in Zhao Rong Princess' eyes. The cat mint had already been diluted by her peppermint powder, so it didn't matter if she drank the mustard powder. Chapter 1382. By the way, Your Highness, it's your birthday today. I've specially prepared a gift for you. This small gift is not as precious as the snow silk robe of the ancient divine doctor, but it's something that girls like. Open it and take a look. Do you like it? Chen Ning smiled as she took out a delicate box and placed it in the princess' hands. This little fox spirit had actually prepared a gift for her. The princess looked up at Chen Ning in disbelief. Chen Ning had a smile on her face and there was nothing strange about her expression. She was secretly on guard as she carefully opened the box. She was prepared for a sharp hidden weapon to come out of the box at any time. Who knew that when she opened the lid of the box, nothing would happen? Inside the box was a transparent glass bottle. It was filled with yellow incense. When the lid was opened, the sweet and fragrant smell filled Zhao Rong Junju's nose. Yeah, this fragrance is really nice. There was no girl who didn't like the fragrance of makeup. Especially seeing this clear bottle of fragrance, the princess couldn't help her eyes lighting up as she couldn't help praising it. This fragrance is called honey fragrance, it is very rare. It's good that the princess likes it, then this princess gift was not for nothing. Chen Ning said with a smile. Many thanks, Empress. The princess happily put away the box and returned to her seat. She had a gloating expression on her face as she waited for the show to begin. She played with the honey fragrance in her hand while laughing at Chen Ning in her heart. She really was a fool. I've only said a few soft words and she's already deceived to the point that she's confused. She didn't even hesitate to give me such a precious spice. It seems that she's not a powerful character. I've really thought too highly of her. If I knew that she's so stupid, why would I need to spend so much money to find the Purple Heaven Pavilion? With my own methods, isn't it a piece of cake to deal with this idiot? She suddenly saw Chen Ning looking at her and she quickly revealed an innocent and grateful smile. The two of them looked at each other and smiled. In the eyes of everyone in the hall, the two of them seemed to have buried the hatchet between them, but no one knew about the turbulent undercurrents between them. The honey fragrance that Chen Ning gave to Zhao Rong was the one that Chen Baiyun had given her on the lake that day. It was the one that wanted to harm her. Chen Baiyun's mind was clever and vicious. She first put a kind of medicine in the wine and wanted Chen Ning to drink it. The medicine in the wine would make the honey fragrance 10 times stronger, and this was what bees liked the most. She wanted the bees to sting Chen Ning's head and make her look bad, but Chen Ning saw through it. She switched their wine cups and the one who was stung was Chen Baiyun instead. Chen Baiyun didn't know what to do. She swapped their cups and the one who was stung was Chin by Yun. The so-called not returning the favor was impolite. The Zhao Rong princess had set this trap for her, so if she didn't return the favor, she wouldn't be Chin Ning. The Enchanting palace was transparent on all sides. Outside the main hall, hundreds of flowers bloomed, butterflies flew, and bees danced. There were many bees that came to collect honey. She had already ordered Xiao Ru to put the honey perfume in the hangover soup. As long as Xiao Rong Junju drank the hangover soup, the bees would quickly swarm over and give her their most intimate and passionate greetings. Your Highness, the hangover soup is here. Xiao Ru placed the hangover soup in front of Zhao Rong princess table. Without saying another word, she turned around and left. Chapter 1383. Humph, you stinky girl who doesn't understand etiquette. You're just like your master. Zhao Rong princess stared at Xiao Ru's back and silently cursed. She slowly picked up the bowl of soup and was about to bring it to her lips when she suddenly remembered that this soup was brought by that stinky girl. Who knew if it had been tampered with like her, so it was better not to drink it. She placed the soup to the side and did not touch it. It had already been a while, why hadn't the cat appeared yet? Zhao Rong princess waited and waited, but she still did not hear the cat's meow that she was waiting for. She began to feel a bit restless. Her back and butt felt like there was a layer of insects crawling on them, making them feel very itchy. Especially her back, it was very itchy. She wanted to reach out and scratch it, but in front of all the ministers and everyone watching, a dignified princess like her scratching an itch in front of everyone would be too indecent. She forcefully endured it and took another sip of wine. She thought that drinking cold wine would make her feel better, but who would have thought that after drinking the wine, the itch would become even more intense. Zhao Rong princess felt very uncomfortable from the itch, so she couldn't help shrugging her shoulders. The material of the snow silk robe was thin, soft, and smooth. It was more comfortable than all the clothes she had worn in her life, so she didn't even think about it before wearing it. When the smooth and soft material stuck to her body, it was very comfortable, but now she wasn't so comfortable. Her skin that was touched by the material began to itch. It was like there were countless furry insects crawling all over her body. From her chest to her back, from her lower abdomen to her arms, they were crawling all over her body. Especially her back, it was a very painful itch. Zhao Rong princess could not hold it in anymore. She raised her arm to scratch her back, but she could not reach the spot on her back. Zhao Rong, what are you doing? Sit properly for me. Duke Ning's eyes swept over. Seeing Zhao Rong's scratching posture, he knit his brows and scolded her. He was surrounded by ministers trying to curry favor with him. If Zhao Rong's appearance fell into everyone's eyes, it would be a great loss of face. Father, my back is very itchy. Quickly help me scratch it. Zhao Rong princess did not care about the strange gazes of the people around her. After she scratched a few times, she could no longer stop. Duke Ning's face sunk as he angrily said, "What a scandal. Zhao Rong, did you drink too much wine? Drink some soup to sober up." He saw his daughter squirming on the chair and shaking her body. Her appearance was as ugly as it could be. Especially when he saw that the ministers who were drinking at the surrounding tables were starting to notice his daughter, he only felt his face heat up. "Hey, come and help me scratch this itch. Here, up again. Yes, here." Zhao Rong Junju scratched her back a few times and then started to scratch her arms. She still didn't feel satisfied, so she ordered the palace maids beside her to have 2 or 3 palace maids scratch her together. However, the more she scratched, the more itchy it became. It was as if those little caterpillars had scratched her heart, making her heart itch along with them. "It's so itchy. Scratch harder, a little harder." "Yes, comfortable, so comfortable, ah. Teat, I." Zhao Rong Junju tore at the clothes on her body. Her 2 long sleeves were torn, revealing a pair of snow-white and tender arms. They didn't look strange, but she felt an itch from her skin to her bones. Yao, T. What on earth are you doing? Have you gone mad? Chapter 1384. Zhao Rong Princess did not hear her father's words at all. She stretched out her long fingernails and forcefully scratched her skin, leaving behind blood-red marks on her snow-white skin. But she did not feel any pain at all, rather she felt very comfortable. Someone come, the princess has drunk too much. Quickly help the princess sober up. Although State Duke Ning knew that Zhao Rong wasn't drunk, he was deliberately pointing at a deer as a horse, making everyone think that his daughter was drunk so as to cover up his daughter's inexplicable actions. 2 palace maids rushed forward to support Zhao Rong Junju. Princess, let's go rest in the back hall. Zhao Rong's eyes turned red. With a flip of her hand, she slapped the 2 maids to the ground and said in a sharp voice, "Scram, you useless servants. This princess is very itchy, can't you see it?" After she hit the 2 maids, she felt her body itch even more. So she used her back to hit the sharp corner of the table, scaring everyone. Comfortable, it's really comfortable. Zhao Rong Princess gave a comfortable sigh. She used all the itchy parts of her body to hit the corner of the table, creating a dong, dong sound. All the ministers in the hall put down the cups and chopsticks in their hands. Their eyes widened as they stared at her without blinking, their faces filled with incomparable shock. Everyone was thinking in their hearts, how is this Zhao Rong princess drunk? She's clearly gone crazy. Duke Ning's face flushed red. No matter how hard he thought, he couldn't figure out what was wrong with Zhao Rong. But when he saw his daughter in such a state, he was anxious and heartbroken. He rushed over to hug Zhao Rong and shouted, "Rong, you're not allowed to mess around anymore." Zhao Rong princess suddenly went crazy. Not only did all the ministers in the hall stare at her, not knowing what was going on, even Mo Chuan and Chen Ning had looks of disbelief on their faces. Xiao Ru felt very satisfied. Seeing Zhao Rong princess go crazy, she clenched her small fists and thought, evil will have evil. You want to harm my family's young miss, now you've received your retribution. Chen Ning's eyes sparkled and a thought appeared in her mind. She subconsciously looked over at Gu Qingze. She was thinking, Zhao Rong princess becoming like this, could it be related to the snow silk robe that master gave her? If it really was as she thought, then she really had wronged master. Gu Qingze was the only person in the hall that was not affected by Zhao Rong princess. He swept away all the delicacies on the table and drank a stomach full of fruit juice. He leisurely leaned back in his chair and let out a burp. He closed his eyes and rested, completely ignoring Zhao Rong princess's ugly behavior. Zhao Rong princess was being hugged by Duke Ning and could not scratch. Her eyes turned red and she bit down on Duke Ning's arm without a word. Ah! Zhao Rong princess was being held by Duke Ning and she could not scratch. Zhao Rong Junju acted as if she had gone crazy, her mouth emitting a hoo-hoo sound. She grabbed the eunuch beside her and panted, "Hit me, hit me." Zhao Rong princess shall not. That eunuch was scared silly, he blankly stared at her. She was a noble and jade leaf, he was just a lowly servant, even if he had the guts as big as the sky, he wouldn't dare to hit the Junju Nyang Nyang. If you don't hit me, I'll strangle you. I'll strangle you. Chapter 1385. Zhao Rong. Have you gone crazy? Duke Ning was flustered and exasperated. He heavily slapped Zhao Rong Regent Princess' right cheek, leaving a deep red handprint on her pink and white face. Ah, this is too comfortable. Zhao Rong Regent Princess let out a satisfied sound. She released the hands that were strangling the eunuch and tightly grabbed onto Duke Ning's sleeve. The eunuch had just escaped death and was scared out of his wits. He fell to the ground and couldn't get up for a long time. "Dad, hit me. Hit me harder. The harder, the better. Ronger, what's wrong with you?" Duke Ning felt a pain in his heart as he looked at his crazy daughter. He couldn't understand why his daughter would suddenly go crazy. He suddenly thought of something and forcefully grabbed Zhao Rong Regent Princess with both hands, dragging her in front of Gu Qingze. "Dr. Gu, quickly, help Zhao Rong take a look at what illness she has. How did she suddenly become like this?" Zhao Rong Regent Princess kept saying that it was unbearably itchy, but when everyone saw her exposed skin, it was very normal. It wasn't red or swollen. This meant that there were only two possibilities. Either she had a strange illness, or she really had gone crazy. No matter which one it was a fact that Duke Ning found hard to accept. Gu Qingze slowly opened his eyes and lazily looked at Zhao Rong Princess. Then, he nodded his head. "That's right, Princess has indeed contracted an illness, a very strange illness." "What disease is it?" Duke Ning hurriedly asked. "This disease is called variegated dermatitis, also known as psoriasis." Variegated dermatitis. Psoriasis. What kind of disease is this? I've never heard of it. Duke Ning furrowed his brows. This is a very rare skin disease. People who have this disease will often have a sudden flare. When it flares up, it will be exactly like what the princess is experiencing right now. Right now, the princess only feels itchy, but her skin is normal. When it flares up, red pimples will appear on her skin and it will gradually expand into brownish red patches. If it is not treated, these red patches will grow gray scales like skin flakes and then the skin will fall off in large amounts. Finally, her entire body will rot and she will die. That's right, this disease is very contagious. It's best if you don't get close to her, or else if her fingers scratch your skin, you will also catch this disease. As Gu Qingze spoke, Duke Ning's eyes widened. After hearing this, his entire body started to tremble. The court officials all retreated in fear. In the blink of an eye, a large empty space appeared next to Duke Ning and Zhao Rong Regent Princess. This is too frightening. There is such a scary disease in this world. Tisk tsk, Zhao Rong Regent Princess is really pitiful. She was just celebrating her birthday, but now she has a skin rash. Zay, Zhao Rong Regent Princess is really pitiful. She was just celebrating her birthday, but she got variegated dermatitis, the court officials whispered to each other, their faces filled with fear. They looked at Zhao Rong Regent Princess and Duke Ning as if they were looking at leprosy patients. Clearly, in their eyes, Duke Ning, who was hugging Zhao Rong Regent Princess, was the same as Zhao Rong Regent Princess, infected with this terrifying variegated dermatitis. Both of Duke Ning's arms were trembling. It was clear that he was afraid, but he still tightly hugged Zhao Rong Regent Princess and did not let go. Chapter 1386. Gu Qingze thought about it. This disease is very rare. Normally, heredity is the biggest reason for this disease. It's usually that the parents have this disease and the children will inherit it. Sometimes it will be hidden in the body for years, but it will break out sooner or later. Duke Ning's face turned even paler. Heredity. The divine doctor's meaning is that Zhao Rong, she inherited this disease from this duke. Gu Qingze softly said, I'm only saying that this is the biggest possibility. As for the reason, Sir Duke should know it better than this commoner. Duke Ning did not say anything. He lowered his head and his eyes sparkled. It was unknown what he was thinking. After a while, he suddenly looked up. Divine Dr. Gu, your medical skills are this high, you must have a way to cure this disease, right? He looked at Gu Qingze with eyes filled with hope, just like a drowning person seeing a piece of driftwood in front of them. Father, hit me, quickly hit me. My daughter is itching to death, it's so uncomfortable, it's so uncomfortable. Zhao Rong Princess suddenly began to cry out. She desperately struggled in Duke Ning's hands, wanting to break free and scratch the itch, but Duke Ning's hands used strength and tightly gripped her wrist, not letting her move. Divine Dr. Gu, I beg you, you have to save. Save my daughter. As long as you can cure her disease, no matter what you want, this Duke will agree to it. Duke Ning was in a hurry. He did not care about his status and actually begged Gu Qingze. Gu Qingze pondered it and said, although this Lentigo is strong, it is not hard to cure. I do know a recipe that is very effective in curing this disease. Hearing this, Duke Ning was filled with joy and was filled with excitement. Divine Doctor, quickly tell me, what recipe is it? This method is a bit strange. Even if I say it, I'm afraid Duke Ning will not let the princess use this method to cure her. Divine Doctor, no matter what method it is, as long as it can cure Zhao Rong's disease, this Duke will not have any objections. Quickly tell this Duke, Rong, She's in this kind of pain. As her father, my heart really hurts seeing this. Duke Ning looked at Zhao Rong Princess with slightly red eyes. This was the love between a father and daughter, revealing their true feelings, without a single bit of pretense. Chen Ning couldn't help thinking, in this world, no matter how evil a person is, there will always be someone they love and care for. But seeing Zhao Rong Princess in this miserable state, she did not feel any sympathy. If she had not seen through Zhao Rong Princess's trap, then her situation would be 10 times worse than Zhao Rong's. Gu Qingze hesitantly said, Sir Duke, it isn't this commoner not willing to reveal this recipe, but this recipe is a bit. Duke Ning panicked and said, Godly Doctor, saving a life is more important. Whether it's elegant or not isn't important. I only have one daughter, Zhao Rong. I can't let anything happen to her. I beg Godly Doctor to show mercy and save her. His knees, he wanted to kneel to Duke. And Gu. This commoner can't accept Lord High Duke's bow. Gu Qingze turned his wheelchair and avoided kneeling. His expression was a little strange, and a complicated look flashed across his eyes. He said faintly, High Duke's love for your daughter is really touching. Alright, since High Duke doesn't care, then I will tell High Duke about this strange folk recipe. Chapter 1387. Everyone looked in the direction of his finger and saw a locust tree next to the flower garden outside the hole. The tree trunk was thick enough for 2 people to wrap their arms around it. It gave a shade and was covered in green leaves. Duke Ning nodded, but he did not understand Gu Qingze's meaning at all. Gu Qingze said, as long as the princess rubs against the locust tree, the itch on her body will disappear. What? When Duke Ning heard this, he almost flew into a rage. His eyes popped out as he angrily glared at Gu Qingze. Divine Dr. Gu, I've wholeheartedly asked you to cure me, you shouldn't use this kind of method to tease me. Are you trying to humiliate me in my wrong, He raised his eyebrows and revealed a fierce look. The ministers all knew why he was this angry. It was because he wanted the young girl Zhao Rong, the dignified princess, to rub against the locust tree in broad daylight in front of everyone's eyes. If this matter was spread out, not only would the princess lose face, even her father Duke Ning would lose face. This matter would become the laughing stock of the capital city's citizens, and it could even be spread to the entire West Chu country. Then Duke Ning and the Princess Zhao Rong would become a joke. Gu Qingze, however, calmly said, Does the High Duke think that this commoner is teasing you? You might not know this, but this 100-year-old locust tree has a type of extremely tiny thorns on its trunk. These thorns will secrete a special juice, and this juice happens to be the nemesis of psoriasis. If Her Highness's condition does not improve after rubbing against it, Lord High Duke can arrest this commoner and punish him. This commoner's head is right here, waiting for Lord High Duke to behead him at any time." He raised his head and looked straight at Duke Ning. There was no fear in his eyes at all. Duke Ning couldn't help hesitating. Looking at Gu Qing's expression, it didn't seem like he was teasing him. What if what he said was true? Could this locust tree really cure Rong'er's illness? If it really was cured, of course it would be a happy ending, but if it couldn't be cured, Rong'er's reputation would be completely ruined. He thought about it, but he couldn't make up his mind. Although the Princess Xiao Rong almost fainted from the itch, her mind was still clear. She heard that rubbing against the locust tree could cure the itch, so she struggled to break free from Duke Ning's grasp. She charged into the large locust tree in the yard and began to rub against it without a word. When everyone saw this, they were all shocked. Their mouths were wide enough to fit an egg. Xiao Ru endured it again and again to not let herself laugh, but her heart was filled with joy. Chen Ning's lips slightly curled as she looked down, covering the smile in her eyes. At this point, she finally understood what was going on. She had really misunderstood her master. The reason why Gu Qingze came to the palace this time was obviously to help her disciple vent her anger and seek justice. Compared to her master's tricks, her heart. Gu Ning's master's words. Ning's voice. Long and long, to him. Compared to his master's black-bellied tricks, his own tricks were simply not worth mentioning. Chapter 1388. When Chen Ning thought of Gu Qing's serious expression, she wanted to laugh. He really was lying through his teeth, but he had fooled everyone and no one doubted his words. Since her master had spent so much effort to arrange this good show for her, of course she couldn't disappoint her master's good intentions. She tried her best to maintain a serious expression, but there was a faint smile in her eyes. Out of everyone present, only Imo Chuan understood her the most. Seeing her slightly narrowed eyes, he thought about it for a bit and guessed the truth. He couldn't help feeling angry and finding it funny as he forcefully glared at Gu Qingze. Humph, this surnamed Gu, he actually wanted to use this kind of evil method to embarrass Xiao Rong and take revenge for Ning. If he wasn't trying to please her, then what was he trying to do? But thinking of Xiao Rong's evil deeds and seeing her current appearance, he couldn't help feeling happy in his heart. He couldn't help admiring Gu Qing's clever method, taking revenge for him and Ning. Why doesn't it itch? I'm still itchy. Divine Dr. Gu, didn't you say that as long as I rubbed against the black locust tree, I wouldn't itch? But why is it getting itchier the more I rub against it? Xiao Rong rubbed against it, but not only did the itch not lessen, it became even worse. It was like there was a hand scratching her heart, but she couldn't scratch the itch. Duke Ning's face sunk and his cold and sharp eyes looked over at Gu Qingze. Without waiting for him to speak, Gu Qingze calmly said, "Princess, you need to take off the snow silk robe before rubbing against it. Only then will it be effective." "Ah, so it's like this. I'll take it off immediately." Xiao Rong impatiently began to tear off her clothes. "Rong, you can't." Duke Ning quickly ordered the maids to bring her to the back hall and take off the snow silk robe for her. Xiao Rong put on her clothes and quickly ran back. She hugged the locust tree and began rubbing against it. "Ah! Comfortable, it's too comfortable." Xiao Rong rubbed against it a few times and her face revealed an ecstatic expression. Wherever she rubbed against, it really wasn't itchy anymore. She looked at the locust tree with excitement, like she was looking at the most precious treasure in the world. She threw herself at it and kept rubbing against it. The ministers in the hall looked at each other in blank dismay, revealing looks of disbelief. Interesting, this was just too interesting. This kind of situation, it was a once-in-a-hundred-years scene. The incomparably noble Zhao Rong Junju was actually hugging an old locust tree as if she was hugging her beloved big brother, rubbing against it. That posture, that expression, this could be made into a story and the storyteller could tell everyone. Everyone was beaming with joy as they watched. However, someone turned around and saw Duke Ning's face that was darker than the bottom of a pot. His heart skipped a beat and he thought to himself, not good. If they laughed at Zhao Rong, it would be Zhao Ning, Duke Ning, they would be Ching. Therefore, everyone could only hold back their laughter and put on a serious expression. However, they were already overjoyed in their stomachs. Although none of the ministers smiled or said a word of mockery, Duke Ning still felt his face turn red. Seeing his daughter make a fool of herself in front of everyone, he wished he could find a hole to hide in and hide. Chapter 1389. When Duke Ning heard her snort, he couldn't find a place to hide his face. He had never experienced such a shameful moment in his life. He had personally seen his beloved daughter, hugging a tree and rubbing herself against it like an animal, but he couldn't stop it, he couldn't do anything about it. He really wanted to shout and scold Zhao Rong. He really wanted to grab Zhao Rong and beat her up. He really wanted to kill every single one of the people who were here to watch the show. But there was nothing he could do. His hands were clenched into fists, and his knuckles were cracking. He had even clenched his teeth so hard that he almost shattered his teeth. Only then did he resist the urge to kill. Seeing this, he couldn't stay any longer. He could only wave his sleeves and use the excuse of urinating to escape. Zhao Rong Princess felt an itch from her heart and from her bones like a tide, coming out in waves. It was so itchy that her hair was about to stand up, but it was strange. Once she rubbed against the old locust tree's rough and thorny trunk, the itch disappeared and was replaced with a comfortable feeling. This comfortable feeling made her turn a blind eye to everything around her, as if she couldn't hear it at all. Those mocking, malicious, disdainful gazes, and discussions, she couldn't see or hear them at all. She just wholeheartedly rubbed against the old locust tree, revealing an infatuated smile on her face. At this moment, even Mo Chuan lost his weight in her heart. There was nothing she loved more than this old locust tree in front of her. How much longer do you think the princess is going to rub against it? I don't know. Seeing the princess' infatuated appearance, it seems like she doesn't want to leave this tree at all. I never thought that we would be able to open our eyes today and see this kind of good show. Shush. Do you not want to live anymore? What are you afraid of? The Duke isn't here. When Duke Ning left, the ministers couldn't help gathering in groups of 2s and 3s, whispering to each other. Everyone didn't notice that Duke Ning had suddenly appeared in the corner of the hall and was silently watching this scene. He also heard every single word of everyone's whispers. His face was as calm as water and he didn't say a word. His right hand tightly clenched and suddenly, with a "pa" sound, a round thing fell to the ground. It was half a jade ring. He had been wearing this jade ring for 20 years and it had never left his body. But today, in a fit of anger, he had forcefully broken it into 2 halves. However, Duke Ning didn't feel the slightest bit of heartache because his heart was already filled with anger and resentment. Just before today's banquet, he was still brimming with confidence and ambition when he reappeared in front of the courtiers, ready to make a comeback and show off his skills. But in the blink of an eye, he was ruthlessly slapped in the face in front of all the ministers in the court. What made him feel the most was that he did not know who had slapped his face. Who was the one that made him lose face? He only knew that his face was so hot that it was enough to cook a pancake. Gu Qingze. No. Ning. Zhao Rong had clearly warned him that this method of treatment was extremely indecent. It was Zhao Rong who was too disappointing. She had completely disregarded her status as a princess and made such an ugly move in front of everyone. Should he blame his daughter? No, no, no. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.